School in Orange Farm, south of Joburg, have confirmed that gangsterism has infiltrated their school. Several known gangs in the area have recruited learners from this school, as well as the neighboring Vulindlela Secondary School. The community say they are fed up and, to an extent, have begun taking the law into their own hands to deal with these gang leaders. In recent weeks, there have been several people killed in what EWN understands to have been a retaliation by frustrated community members in dealing with this pressing issue of gangsterism. Orange Farm is the murder capital of Gauteng, recording the most murders in the province in the latest crime stats. For now, both schools have reopened with JMPD and private security present. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News, Orange Farm.
The organisation Undoing Tax Abuse has made a formal submission to Parliament in support of the Remuneration of Public Office Bearers Amendment Bill to limit benefits for ministers. OUTA says the bill was triggered by the 2022 amendments to the Ministerial Handbook, which it says quietly granted ministers and their deputies free water and electricity at official residencies and also expanded their private offices. OUTA says this costing taxpayers over 87 million rand annually. OUTA's submission comes after Actionists say MP Ellen Bisley gazetted a notice in March this year announcing his intention to table the amendment bill. Babalo Ndenza reports.
OUTA's submission to Parliament highlights several key recommendations, like how Parliament must be notified within 30 days of any change to benefits or allowances for ministers, deputy ministers, the president or deputy president. The organization says such changes must be preceded by a recommendation from the Independent Commission for the Remuneration of Public Office Bearers. OUTA Executive Director Advocate Stephanie Fick says they believe that the amendment bill presents a rare opportunity to fix a governance gap that has allowed the misuse of public funds under the guise of executive entitlement.
Because it aims to stop ministers from awarding themselves benefits like free water and electricity without proper oversight.
Action SA MP Ellen Beasley intends to introduce the Private Members Bill, which seeks to provide for proper controls and transparency in the allocation of benefits and allowances to the President and his Cabinet. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News.
A trial within a trial in the kidnapping and human trafficking case related to the disappearance of Jocelyn Smith is expected to reach its conclusion today. Accused number 2, Stefano van Rijn, was accused of lying to the court yesterday while being questioned about a state prosecutor. Legal teams are set to finish arguments today for the court to decide whether confession statements made by van Rijn and his co-accused Jacqueline Apollos can be used as evidence in the trial. Van Rijn and Apollos claim the statements were made under duress because they were allegedly tortured by police to make the confessions. Carlo Peterson reports.
Stefano van Rijn will be in the dock again today to answer questions about allegedly being tortured by police before his arrest in March last year. State prosecutor Zalda Swanepoel asked van Rijn to demonstrate how he was allegedly tortured at the sea border offices in Saldanha. Using 2 chairs, van Rijn showed the court how he was told to lay on his back and bring his knees to his chest before being hung from an aluminium bar in between 2 chairs. After the demonstration and looking at the height of the chairs, Swanepoel told the court it would be nearly impossible for the accused to be lifted from the ground as he described. Swanepoel will continue questioning van Rijn before the trial within a trial reaches its conclusion. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Saldanha Bay.
Presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya says President Cyril Ramaphosa took Mcebisi Jonas's ties to MTN into account before appointing him as special envoy to the United States. Jonas's current role as chairman of the telecommunications company has sparked worry that it could escalate tensions with the Trump administration. This stems from MTN's investment in telecommunication company in Iran Cell, where it holds a 49% stake. The Trump administration deems Iran as an adversary of Washington, and the two nations have had strained diplomatic relations for decades. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Mcebisi Jonas' chairmanship at MTN, a company that generates billions through its Arancel investment, is said to be at odds with his new diplomatic appointment as it could draw strong objections from the Trump administration. But presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya says there's no reason for the United States to be concerned.
MTN made an investment in Arancel. Mr. Jonas does not have ties with Iran as well as its leadership and political establishment. So we need to make we need to differentiate these issues. That investment that MTN made in Irancell was no different from investments they've made in other parts of the world.
Jonas's past criticism of President Donald Trump is another issue that some believe could come back to haunt him. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape.
Gold is trading at $3,329.40 an ounce. The rand is at 18.87 to the dollar, 24.93 to the pound, 21.43 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.57 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the R59 North just as you come out of the Reading interchange towards Tulisa Park. It is due to an accident on South Rand Road. Please be on the lookout there and try to avoid. There's also queuing traffic on the M2 West. This is between the Geldenhuys interchange and Cleveland Road. That's due to an earlier accident.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers and thundershowers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 22 degrees. The top story in EW in this hour. School children in Orange Farm say they are worried about gangsterism in the area that's affecting learning and teaching.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN.
Just watch us and listen to us at the same time. You can see the guests in studio. You no longer have to wait until after the show for us to post a YouTube video for you to see what really happened in studio with our guests. So you can just watch it live, right? Welcome to the show on this 17th day of April. Great to be back with you here on 702. I hope you're well. I hope you're ready for the long weekend. What are you planning to do, by the way? What are you planning to do this weekend? Are you going to be resting? Are you going to be traveling home? Are you going to Moria if you are a ZCC member? Are you going to the Silo if you are a member of the IPHC church? Is it Silo or the Silo? When I grew up, people who used to go to the IPHC church, they used to say, Reako Silo. We're going to Silo. But apparently it's the Silo. Are we sure it's the Silo? That's what Zintle said. Because can somebody help us here? Because Zintle now looks surprised. Is it the Silo or is it the Silo? Sounds like it's how it should be. But when I grew up, I had friends who used to go to the church, and they used to tell me that Reako Silo, we're going to Silo. During the Easter holiday. So is it Silo or is it Silo? Or maybe you are going to FNB Stadium for a church service. Or you're going on holiday to rest. Or you're just going to be at home resting. What are your plans this Easter weekend? You can call us on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. It's also this weekend, the annual School Sports Festival. The schools in Johannesburg North are getting ready to host schools from all over at this annual School Sports Festival. St. George College, St. John's, King Edward, St. Stephen's College, I think as well. They'll be welcoming visitors over this weekend from 16th to the 21st. And I wonder if your child is one of those that are participating. And how involved are you in their sporting activities? Do you go watch them? Are you one of those parents who say, this is the Easter weekend, I just want to rest. I want to focus on myself. You can go do your sports. We'll see you when we come back. And I wonder how intentional you are about your child's participation in sports. Yeah? Do you prefer that they do team sports or they do individual sports? Do you get them to decide themselves, or you decide for them what kind of sport they must get into? And what difference do you notice when a child is in sports? Yeah, because I've got friends who have got children who do sports, and they often talk about the discipline that they observe, how sports helps with discipline for their children. I don't even want to ask about the expenses, the equipment, the trips, because these friends often tell me about the kids who participate in sports and how much they pay, and I'm always shocked at how much parents spend. And you guys still encourage us to have babies, hey? Yeah, that's quite interesting. Speaking of sports, did you watch Arsenal versus Real Madrid last night? My goodness, history was made. Arsenal beat the best team in the world. Not once, but twice. And I know there's a lot that's been said about the game, right? there's a lot that's been said about Arsenal. And I know about this match more so because my brother also can't stop talking about it because he's the biggest Arsenal fan. He got his child to stay up last night to actually watch the game. Did you watch the game? I mean, I was surprised to see Real Madrid losing like that, given the expectation that many of us had that they were going to win. I mean, Real Madrid is a 15-time winner of the Champions League. Arsenal has been struggling of late. They struggled with winning trophies. And now they're in the semi-finals. And they've never won a Champions League before. Real Madrid has won it 15 times. No other team has won it more than them. They always win, in fact, on second legs. So even if you beat them like Arsenal did on the first leg, they always win on second legs. That's why they call them the masters of historic comebacks. And yet they couldn't win this one last night with their home ground advantage. I think that's a big deal for Arsenal. You've got to give it to the Arsenal coach, Mikel Arteta, a young man who came with his plans, rebuilt the team with young players, and I think it's now paying off. Are you an Arsenal supporter? How do you feel? Are you a Real Madrid fan? How do you feel? Give me a call or send me a WhatsApp voice note. The question we've got to ask ourselves as well as we get closer to May is whether VAT is staying or not. We've heard from political parties and what they hope for. Some of us have tried to explain to these politicians how unrealistic the timelines are to see the removal of VAT before the 1st of May. We've tried to explain how tough it's going to be for Treasury to find alternative additional revenue without the VAT hike. Well, now we've heard from the Finance Minister, Enoch Kotongwana, the man whose responsibility is to come up with an alternative. And guess what? Surprise, surprise. He says he sees no alternative to VAT. He says halting the VAT hike will force government to borrow more. He spoke of the consequences of suspending the VAT hike and how severe they would be. And I said, as I said it even last week, government would be forced to cut expenditure. That is undesirable. Otherwise, government would be forced to increase borrowing. That is undesirable. Both these options carry a significant risk. In fact, listen to what Enoch Kotongwana said when he spoke to the SABC yesterday.
Parliament has said to us, give us 30 days for political parties to make submissions on alternative sources of revenue other than that. Now, we are looking at the proposals that have been submitted by the different parties and are awaiting Parliament to give guidance as to how do we respond to those proposals. It's only then I can tell you whether they make sense or not.
But in hindsight, when you look at them from a glance, just with your left ear, do they make sense? Are some of them workable?
I mean, let me just say, some of them may be workable, but to give effect to them is going to take a while. In other words, some of them may be effective, may be good implementing in the 1st of April next year.
Exactly. It's going to take time. And that's exactly what I've been trying to say. When I've interviewed Musi, when I've interviewed Songezo Zip, when I've interviewed Herman Mashaba, nobody is against what they are pushing for. Of course, we would all like to see the finance minister come back and say, we found other ways. VAT is not coming in on the 1st of May. But we must also be realistic. And I sometimes find that politicians choose not to be realistic, or they choose to pretend as if something is going to happen, even though they know that behind the scenes they're having a completely different conversation. So, are you still hopeful, listening to what the finance minister said? Are you still hopeful that the 1st of May won't come with VAT? Let me know. Between 10 and 11 o'clock on the show today, we're going to be hanging out with the youngest minister ever in the history of this democracy. Siviwe Gwarube, she's the Minister of Basic Education. She's the youngest Minister of Basic Education ever in the history of this country. And just broadly, she's got such a fascinating story, growing up in the Eastern Cape, joining the Democratic Alliance, moving up the ranks, and now becoming the Minister of Education. I think it's an inspirational story that can inspire you and I. So between 10 and 11 o'clock, we're going to get to know her much better. At 11 o'clock, we're going to do our Thursday dialogue. And today, we're going to be discussing foreign policy concessions we should be prepared to make in order to amend ties with the U.S.? Now that we have a special envoy to the U.S., Mcebisi Jonas, what then are the concessions that we should be making? And that's if they will let him land, as I said earlier to Bongani, that's if they'll let him land in Washington, D.C. I see the presidency has come out to defend that appointment of him as a special envoy to the United States following the reemergence of those remarks that he's made. There are concerns now about his role at MTN and the investment of MTN in Iran, and you know how the U.S. feels about Iran. So all of that is going to be part of our conversation at 11 o'clock. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good morning, Clement. Kisilo. Silo for the who. Silo. Thank you, bye.
Clement, good morning. So you remember the founder of that church, IPC? It's Ntate Modise. So he's a Sotho speaking. So Silo, it's derived from Sesotho, but then it's silo. If you read it in English, it's silo, and then it's spoken like that, silo. However, if you check most of those of the congregants in there, they could be any other Tswana, other languages, but mainly they will be speaking Sesotho. So it's South Sotho, and then it's Silo. You will remember, even in the Bible, there's David. That's in English. But Bible in Sesotho ke Dafita. Eaten from Marshall Town.
It is Davita indeed. Alkins, you calling us from Sentin. Are you an Arsenal fan? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. I'm a diehard Arsenal fan. Yes, no, on behalf of Arsenal, all Arsenal fans around the world, I want to say one thing. The whole world had written us off. Real Madrid is going to beat Arsenal over 2 legs. Arsenal can't win. But I just want to say, did you see all those goals that Arsenal scored?
Yeah.
Some of my people in my WhatsApp groups are saying Arsenal were not scintillating. Madrid did an off game or something like that. But all the goals from Declan Rice, 2 free kicks, Merino's goal, Saka's goal, Martinelli's goal. I'm so excited, Clement. I was making so much noise like a child yesterday. When Martinelli scored the second goal, I couldn't believe it.
Listen, Atkins, I'm not an Arsenal supporter, but I'm happy for you guys. I think you do deserve this win. I'm very impressed with the coach. I mean, it's been a couple of years, and I think it's really paying off the investment that he's been making. So, kudos to you guys, eh? I mean, you beat Real Madrid on the second leg. Whoever thought that would be possible? Yes. Atkins and Senton, thank you. In fact, can we clap for Arsenal, guys? See, we're not jealous here. When Chiefs won last week, when was it, on Monday? Yeah, we celebrated you guys, even though some of us, are not supporters of you. And now Arsenal has won. I'm not even an Arsenal fan, but this was quite an incredible, it was historic what happened last night. So they do deserve some praise.
Clement, I have a 13-year-old boy who is a staunch, diehard fan of Real Madrid. And the past 2 matches that I've played, he's been so heartbroken, and I can't take it for him. You know, yesterday was sick. He was congested with flu and everything, but he stayed up and he watched this match with such anticipation. And they lost, and he was heartbroken, and I was heartbroken for him. So I'm planning a very nice weekend for him, just to lift his spirit up, because I can't.
Oh, mommy's boy. Shame, man. So I'm a terrible person to live with in a house if your favorite team is going to lose, because I am going to rub it off the whole day. Yeah, I'm toxic like that. Like when Kaiser Chiefs loses, I call my brother because I feel like I want to see his face, you know. and I want to remind him, like I want to see that, and I want to remind him, you have lost. So I'm one person who's going to irritate you the whole time if you live with me. So the question I have for you guys is, how do you best treat or respond to a loved one in your household who is heartbroken from a match that they have lost? Like in this case, this poor little boy is now heartbroken because he's a big Real Madrid fan. At least mom is taking him away for a weekend just to lift his spirit. What do you guys do? Like, what's the best thing to do? Are you a type that just rubs it off? Or are you more sympathetic than I am? And you know, because some people don't even talk to you, hey? I mean, my brother gets so grumpy. I feel for his wife. He gets so grumpy when Arsenal loses or when Kaiser Chiefs loses. I get grumpy as well when I'm watching Formula One or when I'm watching Pirates and Pirates loses. And I would rather go out for a run. I just don't want to sit with people and constantly be reminded of the loss. What's the best thing to do? Do you get them a drink? Do you tell them it's going to be okay? Do you give them a hug? Because sometimes then they start shouting at you. They're taking it out on you. They take it out on you. What do you do? Whether it's tennis, whether it's golf, whether it's Formula One, whether it's football, soccer, how do you deal with people in your household who are heartbroken from a loss? And now they're just so grumpy. Yeah?
Morning, Clement. Maybe you haven't been watching the UEFA Champions League. Real Madrid this season has been struggling, and Arsenal has been one of the three best teams in terms of performances. So I don't know why you guys are surprised. Maybe you haven't been watching the UEFA Champions League regularly, especially this season. And this season, Madrid is not even the best team in the world. Maybe your PSG, your Liverpool's, yeah.
Yeah, look, there's no question about like the performance of Arsenal lately. I mean, they've been incredible, but I'm just saying that even with Real Madrid, there are many times when Real Madrid plays and they lose the first leg, even in the UEFA Championship. But the minute you have to go to their home, they win. That's what we have seen over the years. That's why I said to you earlier that they call them the masters of historic comebacks, because you can beat them that one time, sure. Oh, but good luck going to their home and winning that match. So the fact that, yes, they've been struggling, but the fact that that has happened now, they were beaten twice by Arsenal, that's still quite a historic move, brother. And I think Arsenal really, 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 really deserves a huge one for that, a huge praise for that.
Hi, Clement. Hey, Gunzi. It's really painful. It's really painful to be a Madridista this morning. Silale ngenhliziyo ebuhlungu. Sivuka ngenhliziyo ebuhlungu. But obviously the boss must now retire. Our coach, Courtois, our goalkeeper, must retire. Even our director, the big boss at Madrid, he must also retire. Zidane must come back. We need to buy new defenders. Yeah. But what I like about Madrid is that we are champions even in losing. We know how to study the game and learn. We'll come back stronger next year. Thank you.
Yeah, let's hope so. I saw Ancelotti was like, Real Madrid has to play with their heads, their hearts, and their balls. That's what he was saying just a day ago before the match. But yeah, also some people just really have little patience for coaches, eh? Yeah, if you're having a bad season, yeah, soccer fans don't have patience for you. They want you out. Paul, you're calling from Pretoria. How do you deal with people who are heartbroken from losses?
Clement kunjani?
Sure, brother.
Speaking to Paul, Pretoria. Yeah, my wife is a Orlando Pirates supporter in Mekazisa.
Yeah.
Every time Orlando Pirates lose, I make sure Clement ukuthi uyangifila. I make sure ukuthi ngiba aveli ukuthi ngiba khona, ukuthi ngiyabonakala in a house ukuthi no Orlando Pirates idliwe. Should I make sure Clement. Yeah?
She's gonna divorce you, Paul. What a terrible husband.
No. No, okunye Clement ngifuna ukukusho before ngibeka phasi umthatha. Big up to abantu bereka nabo ama-producers wakho asenza sifile more at home masifonela i-702 sithokoza kakhulu nangomuso bangalali.
Oh, that's nice, Paul. Thank you. So no one has ever said that about the producers. Let me translate it. So Paul says he wants to take this opportunity to thank the producers of the show because they make him feel at home every time he calls. So maybe let's clap for them. How? We're always clapping for both Pirates. Let's clap for the producers. So no, we need to clap proper. So that's great. That's great to hear, guys. That's great to hear. That's great to hear. That's what we want. We want you when you call in to know that you feel at home. We want you to have rapport, even with the people that you speak to before they hand you over to me. So I'm very happy to hear that. Let's wrap up with these WhatsApp voice notes and then get to the headlines.
Morning, Clemza, Mpo here. Clemza, I support both Arsenal and Real Madrid. Arsenal in England and Madrid in Spain. And when they were drawn up together, I was like, I need to make a choice. And I went with the Gunners. I was like, no. I have a feeling here. I'm going with the Gunners. And they did not disappoint, man. Well, Ancelotti said the stadium must be closed. And well, we told them rice cooks better when it's, when the pot is closed. And we definitely cooked. And it was nice winning.
Good morning, Clement. Beyinzimande here from Johannesburg South. We are going to Orlando Stadium, Grace Bible Church, under Presiding Bishop Musa Sono, from tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. We don't have live. Weekend enkulu, Baba. Weekend enkulu. So Saturday, interesting. We will be having a concert featuring Udumi Kokstad. So many artists, and we've got Voshan Mitchell.
Oh,
They'll be
Voshan.
recording a live album with our youth choir, Unlimited, with the Spusi Zima. Everybody is welcome. You only pay 150, and that 150 covers tomorrow, that's Friday, Saturday, including the concert, as well as Sunday. Gumnandi baba. Always keep. We are so ready. We are so excited.
Oh, that's exciting. I like Voshan's music. I didn't know he was in town. Pity I can't catch him this weekend because I'm away. But wow, that's amazing. What are you getting up to this long Easter weekend? Are you going to the Silo/Silo? Are you going to ZCC? Are you going to be with Pastor Bishop Musa Sono at the FNB Stadium as part of Grace Bible Church? What are you doing? Are you just going to be resting? What are you going to be doing? Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. It's 9:31. Sfiso has the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Friends and classmates of a student killed at the Walter Sisulu University in Mthatha have described him as a kind and caring person. Sisonke Mbolekwa was shot while protesting over what the SRC says are unresolved issues related to accommodation at the institution. A lawyer for one of the accused in the Free State asbestos case has been given 6 days by the High Court to familiarise himself with the dockets before trial starts. Free State Housing Department Director Mahlomula Matlakala started trial this week without his advocate in court. He's one of 18 accused in the controversial multi-million rand asbestos tender, which involved former Premier Ace Magashule and businessman Edwin Sodi. And California is suing the U.S. federal government over Donald Trump's on and off tariffs. California Governor Gavin Newsom says the American president does not have the right to impose them. The move marks the strongest pushback yet against a tariff rollout that has sent global stock markets into meltdown and has left businesses across the U.S. fretting about uncertainty. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this hour, if you're leaving the Germiston CBD heading towards Joburg, you can expect heavy delays. This is in the Cleveland area, M2 westbound between the Geldenhuys interchange and George Goch. Otherwise, the rest of Gauteng has settled down pretty nicely. No serious accident have been reported. Also, I see some delays in the Joburg CBD. That's heading towards the Geldenhuys interchange. Slow-moving traffic, M2 westbound. That's as you come off a refinery road. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in the LX area. That's at Marlborough Drive and Far East Bank. Traffic lights also not working. Rand Park Ridge at Beyersnodi and the N1. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
It is disturbing to hear that 39 teachers have had to be fired after being found guilty of sexual misconduct. There's a lot of sexual activity happening between teachers and learners in our school environments, isn't there?
It's a problem, but I'm caught in this particular position where I'm not sure if there's an increase or if there's better reporting, more boldness on the side of children to come forward to report this. And that's a good thing. Also, parents not being bought off with the so-called damages money.
Basil Manuel is the executive director at NAPTOSA.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
What is your money doing right now? Is it lazing around in that other account because you're not sure where to move it for premium growth? Well, let's make it work hard in a Standard Bank Money Market Select investment account, where we'll grow it with a nominal interest of up to 7.9% on a minimum deposit of 100,000 Rand. Plus, you get access to your funds anytime. Open yours online or on our app today. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Some people go all out for date night. We just go out to the driveway.
Exquisitely sculpted lines.
And an interior that could pass for a luxury penthouse.
Why go out when the classiest venue is already parked outside?
The new Haval Jolion Pro from $4,399 per month. Its effortless style steals every scene. Visit gwm.coza for T's and C's and to book a test drive. Go with more. Go with the new GWM Haval Jolion Pro.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct, to give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
24 minutes before 10 o'clock. It's the 702 open line on this 17th day of April. We're getting ready for the long weekend. And I've been asking you what your plans are this weekend. Are you going to be resting? Are you going to church? Are you attending that Voshon Michelle's concert? What are you going to be doing this weekend? Are you playing golf? I'm going to be playing some golf this weekend. What are you planning to do? I've also been asking you about that historic match between Arsenal and Real Madrid last night. History was made. Arsenal beating the best team in the world, well, recently Real Madrid has been struggling, but they still hold the position of the best team in the world. And Arsenal has beaten them not once, but twice. And I've been asking you, how do you deal with people who lose? Because there are so many people who slept with a broken heart last night. There are many people who have woken up with a broken heart. How do you help them mend as a partner, as a lover, as a brother, as a sister, as a mom, as a dad? Yeah? How do you help people who are broken hearted from a game or from a tennis match or from a Formula One race, and they're so heartbroken because their favorite team or driver is lost? Are you there for them, or are you a type like me that is so toxic that you just want them to know and you're laughing at them? You're constantly reminding them of their loss. That's what I've been asking as well. Let's go to your WhatsApps first on 072 702 1702.
Clement, I'm not going anywhere because this time of the year there are a lot of accidents. I was supposed to go to Limpopo, in Tafelkop to be specific, but nope. I will go next week, not now. Scared to die. I'm still young. Taru from Deep Kloof. Danko.
Hi, Clement. We're heading to the bush this weekend, but it's a game reserve in Limpopo. So we're getting on the road early today because we're expecting lots and lots of traffic.
Oh, yeah, guys. How do you try and avoid traffic? Because I've always tried to avoid traveling by road on Easter weekends. Either I leave much earlier before everybody gets on the road. What's the best time to travel? Because if you're leaving today, is it already too late? If you're leaving tonight, is it too late? Or if you say wake up at 4 a.m. tomorrow, does it actually work? Like whether you're going to KZN or you're driving towards Limpopo or Mpumalanga, does it work when you leave very early in the morning? Because that's also something else I'm considering, because I'm going away this weekend, also going to the bush, but also to play some golf. And I'm just wondering, what's the best time to leave? Huh? Can you help us out? Some of us who are not used to traveling during this time. Is it best to leave tonight? Is it best to leave very early in the morning? And what's early enough to avoid traffic?
Hi, Clement. As usual, I am working. The joys of being a nurse, right? So every holiday falls on my shift. It's more money for me. I would have loved to rest, but then with this economy, we have to work and get. But to everybody that's going away this weekend, drive safely, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, but can we just appreciate you as well as a nurse? Because that's a sacrifice. So thank you. Thank you. Yes, you're making a little extra money, but also it's a sacrifice. You could be spending this time with your family and you're choosing to spend it while working. So we appreciate that because we see the significant contribution you make as nurses. So thanks to you.
Hi, Clement. I will be at Gallagher Estate for our Easter conference with Hope Restoration Ministry, Pastor Matebula. It's jam-packed from the 17th, the 18th, and the 19th. So starting from Thursday night at 6, Gallagher Estate. We've got Takindo as our artist. We have Koli, forgot her surname.
Oh, love Koli.
Great speakers. So it's going to be wonderful.
This is fascinating. Please send my regards to Reverend Matebula for me. Haven't spoken to him in quite a while. Please send my love. Oli Mwango, one of my favorite gospel artists. It looks like Easter, it's a competition of churches, hey? You've got... Someone sent a message earlier and says, we've got Vashon all the way from the US. Yeah? And then we've got Botaki, we've got Botoli. Churches are really working hard during Easter, hey? So interesting. It's 19 minutes now before 10 o'clock.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
Clement, With regards to the game last night, Arsenal's midfield was actually better than Real Madrid. They've got star players like Mbappe, Vinny, Bellingham, but they never showed up over the two legs. So Arsenal played as a team. Real Madrid was playing as individuals. That was a difference over the two legs.
Good morning, Clement. We all know that Arsenal won and they are happy, they are celebrating. But deep down, they know that they can't finish the job. Arsenal, they are always like this every season. They are very promising, but we know that they are not going to win the Champions League, just like they are not going to win the league. So we know they must celebrate beating Madrid, but forget about winning any trophy.
Morning, Abuti Clem. Morning, team. Bra Able, Eka Ipinaya Arsenal. We're always busy playing Masanda Wana songs. We are playing Bagania songs. We're playing Kosi songs. Let's play North London music. North London. Congratulations, Arsenal. Percy from Putadichap.
Please, Abel, give us that song. Do it for Percy.
Hey, Clement. How's it going? Hey. No, we are ahead, bro. We are ahead. Yeah, no. I think, our players, they lacked character last night. No commitment, even from the senior players. Like, they just won the game before it even began. So I think the approach was totally wrong. But all the best to Arsenal going forward. I hope they keep the momentum. But yeah, we remain Madrid forever.
Shem, you sound so sad, man. Yeah. Maybe we should play like some music to uplift the spirit of Real Madrid fans, eh? What kind of music can I play for you guys? Something that's going to uplift your spirits. Because all the voice notes that have come through, and understandably so, all of you are just so heartbroken and you sound it. And that makes me sad because, I care about you guys. So you tell me, call me or send me a WhatsApp voice note. Tell the producers what kind of song I can play for you before we wrap up the open line. Just to lift your spirits. Just to lift your spirits a bit. Toombs says, hi, Clement. I'm attending the Easter Sports Festival at St. Dustin's College in Rainfield, Benoni. We're hosting a huge festival with visitors from all over the country, including Zim schools. That's a message there from Happy. Thank you so much for that, Happy. Another one says, Clement, good morning. I'm staying with my son, who is a Chiefs and Arsenal biggest fan. Can you imagine what I am going through because Chiefs is forever losing? I can't even celebrate in this house when Pirates wins. Yo, good rough. Yeah, but your child, Anonymous, is probably the happiest man right now because Chiefs is now heading to the finals at Moses Mabhida. Well, they don't know what's coming for them, obviously, on the 10th of May because we're going to show them flames. But Chiefs, they're excited. They've got some newfound confidence because they feel like this is the return of Kaizer Chiefs, which it's not. And now Arsenal. So your child is probably the happiest person in the house. Happiest person ever. But we're happy for them. Arsenal has been struggling of late. Chiefs has been struggling in the last decade. So it's good to see them at least happy somehow. Mwaku says, Clement, the best time to leave this weekend if you're going anywhere, I'm traveling to Limpopo. The best time to leave is 3 a.m. The most peaceful drive you'll have. 8 a.m. By 8 a.m. I was at home for breakfast and had the rest of the day to rest my body. Have a wonderful day and enjoy your Easter. That's Dennis in Auckland Park. Okay, so 3 a.m. Is the time to leave from what I'm picking up. A lot of you are saying 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Apparently by 6 a.m., that's already too late. 3 a.m., guys. Sure. It's 14 minutes before 10.
This Easter weekend,
702 brings you more than great conversation.
expect soul
Stories.
and sounds to match every moment.
Whether you're road tripping,
Hosting family or stealing a quiet moment for yourself.
we've got the perfect soundtrack.
From Good Friday to Easter Monday, enjoy special holiday programming to keep you connected and entertained.
Join Kenny Maystreet from 10 to 2 and Pushaza Sibia from 2 to 6.
Richard Nwaba wraps up Saturday from 6 to 8.
On Sunday, Nothemba Madumo will take you into the evening from 6 to 9.
Wherever you are this Easter,
702 is with you.
702. Let's walk the talk.
Make Easter extra with Checkers. Bry SA's favorites. Enjoy hot cross everything and discover over 1,000 treats for your hunt. Plus, save on Coca-Cola Original Taste Less Sugar Cold Drink, 2 litre, 2 for 45 Rand. Lindt Chocolate Cornets, 200 grams for 139.99. And Parmalat Cheddar or Gouda Cheese, 850 grams, 2 for 249 Rand. Valid until 21 April at Checkers, Checkers Hyper or shop on 6060.
In just 10 years, over 850 million winners have shared more than 31 billion Rand with the National Lottery. That's not a dream, that's real money, won by real people, right here in Mzansi. So the question is, why not you? The next winner could come from your hometown. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Handa, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult, day 3,268. I love payday because my salary would look huge to 15-year-old me, but that's in 2011 money, not 2024 money. 28-year-old me is not so easily impressed.
Recently removed from the family payroll? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
It's 11 minutes now before 10 o'clock. Someone said, yeah, when Chiefs plays, you play a song. When Pirates play, you play a song. Arsenal has won. Can you give us something for Arsenal fans? Well, I hope this works. I hope that takes you back to to the stadium last night. Thabo, you are in Joburg. You are a Real Madrid fan. What can we do to uplift your spirits this morning? Because we care about you, you know.
Hi, Clement. How are you?
Good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. There is a song, I think it's in Spain. It says, Aberazato, yo me rawachu vera, ciao, ciao, ciao. You know the song?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the song.
Do you think that will uplift your spirits this morning?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, let's try it, Tibos, because we don't want you guys to have a terrible long weekend, eh? We don't. Abel, let's try uplift their spirits.
Una mattina mi sono alzato, oh vela ciao, vela ciao, vela ciao, ciao, ciao. Una mattina mi sono alzato e ho trovato l'invasor, un partigiano, portami via. Oh vela ciao, vela ciao, vela ciao, ciao, ciao. Partigiano, portami via, che mi sento di morire. Se io muoio da partigiano, oh vela ciao, vela ciao, vela ciao, ciao, ciao. E se io muoio da partigiano, tu mi devi seppellir. e seppellire lassù in montagna. Oh vela ciao, vela ciao, vela ciao, ciao, ciao e seppellire lassù in montagna sotto l'ombra di un bel fiore.
Okay, I think they feel much better now. And I see some Arsenal fans love the North London Forever song. So I'm glad we can make both of you happy. See, everybody wins.
Clement, I absolutely agree with you on Real Madrid being the kings of comeback. I'm actually quite shocked that they lost to Arsenal twice in a row. In particular, at the Bernabeu, we all know that they're quite strong there in Europe and know how to win, particularly once they get to the knockout stages. So yeah, it is quite a bit of a shocker. Name is Sandile from Centurion.
Yeah, Sandile, that's the point I was making. When it comes to Bernabeu, well, good luck to you. Real Madrid have always been known for that. You can beat them as much as you do in the first legs. When you get to Bernabeu, you must know that they are going to come back. And they are known to be like that. And the fact that Arsenal was able to beat them the first time, and the second time when, I mean, they were so confident. They said this is going to be a slaughterhouse. Huh? I mean, the jokes they were making about the stadiums and how it must be enclosed, all of that because they know themselves to be that strong. Even their fans know themselves to be that strong in Bernabeu. And yet here we are. So let's not minimize this. This is quite a big moment for Arsenal. It's quite a historic thing. It's quite a historic move.
Good morning, Clement. Tomorrow I'm attending Easter service at God of Our Fathers Ministry. I can't wait to be there. Thank you very much. Peter Maila Machava from Letswatla.
Peter, do you guys also have an artist coming there? Because so many churches have artists. And I wonder, are these I'm asking this and it's a genuine question. Do churches bring in these big artists as a pull factor? Which is, it's fine as well, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You do want to pull as many people for Christmas Christmas services, for Easter services. You want to do that for your church. But I'm just wondering is that a thing that for Easters, a lot of the churches will go get the biggest artists. So in other words, is this the season for the gospel artists? Because you're going to be performing in church. Churches are always going after the biggest of artists as a pull factor. I wonder, because someone said their church is bringing in Voshon all the way from the US. Another person said earlier, we're bringing in Oli. I mean, those are really big artists, hey?
Hi, Clement. Anonymous here. Hope you are well. Thank you so much for a great show. As for me, Ditsila Bona N1 Mama Volo Moria.
Rea Moria. That's going to be cool. Please be safe on the roads and leave early to avoid traffic. But what's important is for us to be safe because, we know how after Easter we often complain about the carnage on our roads. And I really hope that we're not going to be seeing increasing numbers once again this year. So let's try be vigilant and extra cautious on our roads.
Morning, Clement. With us entrepreneurs, is business as usual. So when people are gonna be going to church or going on holidays or resting, spending time with family, I'm gonna be working business as usual over the long weekend. And although I don't go to church, I pray that I sell out this weekend. I pray that I'm so busy they buy all my stock over this long weekend. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. God, please help him sell out his stock this whole weekend. If there are many of you believing in prayer, please pray for this chap. That's his dream. his prayer to God this weekend to sell out his stock. And that's going to be one of my prayer items this weekend from starting today, for God to help this chap sell out his stock. And please come back to us and give us feedback when your stock is sold. Come back on Tuesday when we're back on air and tell us how it went. But I do really seriously pray that God helps you sell out that stock. Amen.
At 7:02,
We're proud of a lot of things
but none more than our connection to you.
because we know when we walk the talk,
We're never alone.
I had been waiting so long for UIF for 18 months, and Kabazela and John Perlman had somebody from UIF on. And you know what? I finally got paid, and I just want to say it's actually saved my life. So 702, thank you, and you reach far and wide to all people.
Every SMS,
voice note,
email,
phone call,
your every word leads to action.
that changes lives, changes minds, uplifts communities, and holds authority to account.
Together, we've turned dialogue into good deeds.
And promises into progress.
Yes, we did that. You and 702. So, stay tuned.
Because if this is how far we've come, imagine how much further we can go.
When we stick together, 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Make every day awesome when you get the new Samsung Galaxy A56 5G from Vodacom, Mzansi's fastest 5G network. Get yours today on a 1.4 gig rate core plan for only 429 Rand per month over 36 months. Enhance your deal when you add 49 Rand extra per month and get the Samsung Galaxy Tab A9. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
This Easter, Cashbuild is bringing the hunt to you. Grab the Cashbuild April leaflet and choose your favorite Easter egg number from 1 to 10. Scan the QR code, follow WhatsApp prompts, and stand a chance to win your share of 150,000 Rand in prizes. Make this Easter extra special with Cashbuild. Competition ends 18th May. T's and C's apply.
Does your insurer foot the bill when unscrupulous guests sneak away without paying? Are you reimbursed when air travel delays leave your coffers bare? Do they simply shrug when a resident of your fine establishment is too frisky with the faucet, sending tidal waves down the staircase? Or are you with Auto & General? Owners of guest houses, lodges and boutique hotels trust Auto & General with their hospitality insurance. For a quote, visit autogen.co.za or SMS business to 49025. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Friends and classmates of a student killed at the Walter Sisulu University in Mthatha have described him as a kind and caring person. Sisonke Mbolekwa was shot while protesting over what the SRC says are unresolved issues related to accommodation. A residence manager from the institution is allegedly behind the shooting after his car was allegedly torched and his family attacked. This student says that Mbolekwa was dedicated to his studies.
Oh, Sisonke was so calm. He was a calm person. Ebengathandi ukuxabana nabantu yabo. Like everything ebe right. Ubungeke uve kuthiwa no ubene late submission or what. Everything ebeyenza, like it was always on time.
She says it's unfair that the institution initially said that Mbolekwa was not registered at the university.
He was a fully registered student. They're lying. There's no such. How can we even fight for someone who's not a student? How can you waste our time for someone who's not a student? You see, he was a registered student. He was my classmate since 2023.
Gauteng Transport MEC Kideboni Dialetlabela is set to visit the family of a taxi owner who was shot and killed in Alberton. The woman, who was affiliated to the Katlehong People's Taxi Association, was murdered earlier this week in Buhle Park in Germiston. It's understood that she had taken over her husband's business after he was killed more than 5 years ago. Ntokozo Khumalo reports.
Last week, Gauteng Transport Department and the taxi industry leaders reached an agreement to stop violence in the sector.
This meeting came after the MEC's threats to close taxi ranks and seize licenses for all warring associations. At least 59 people have died this year due to the increasing violent incidents in the industry. Department spokesperson Siviwe Gwarube says this recent murder is unacceptable.
This goes against the commitment that has been made recently by the taxi industry to commit to the cessation of hostilities. And it is an indictment to the commitment that the industry has made to the people of Gauteng.
Mbia says the MEC's visits will serve as a means to address the ongoing scourge in the field. Ndogozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News.
A lawyer for one of the accused in the Free State asbestos case has been given 6 days by the High Court to familiarise himself with the docket before trial starts. Free State Housing Department Director Manyathela started trial this week without his advocates in court. Manyathela is one of the accused in the controversial multi-million rand asbestos tender, which involved former Premier Esma Khashule and businessman Edwin Sodi. Khomotso Modise has more.
When the asbestos trial into the awarding of a 255 million rand tender started on Tuesday, a postponement was expected because one of the accused, Manyathela, only instructed lawyers last week after his legal aid application was denied. His attorney argued that the matter could not proceed because they needed to get through the docket of more than 50,000 pages. Yesterday, Manyathela's advocate Thabani Mhlanga arrived and tried to argue for a lengthy postponement, something Judge Philip Laubscher was not willing to give.
Let me say to you so that there can be no misunderstanding. I'm not likely to postpone this matter to any date beyond next Tuesday.
Ultimately, the matter has been postponed to next Wednesday, effectively giving Advocate Mhlanga 6 days to prepare. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News in Bloemfontein.
Presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya is hoping US President Donald Trump will not hold grudges against South Africa's new special envoy Mcebisi Jonas. Magwenya was addressing concerns around Jonas's appointment in light of critical remarks he made about Trump in the past. Speaking at the Ahmed Kathrada Annual Memorial Lecture in 2020, Jonas referred to Trump as both a racist and a homophobe. Speaking on the sidelines of Cabinet's meeting with the Eastern Cape government yesterday, Magwenya says he believes Trump is unlikely to take offense. Alfara Mushwana has more.
The United States expelled South Africa's former ambassador Ibrahim Rasool last month after he accused President Donald Trump of leading a white supremacist movement. Asked if the president considered the possibility of Jonas being rejected by the Trump administration, presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya said he believes Trump won't dwell too much on Jonas's remarks.
We don't believe that President Trump is a man that holds grudges. If that was the case, a number of his cabinet members will not be serving in his cabinet.
Magwenya says Trump, of all people, should understand the importance of not bearing grudges.
Unkind remarks have been said about the African continent by President Trump. And there's no African leader that holds those comments against him.
Magwenya maintains the president took all factors into account before making the appointment. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape.
And California is suing the U.S. federal government over Donald Trump's on and off tariffs. California Governor Gavin Newsom says the American president does not have the right to impose them. The move marks the strongest pushback yet against a tariff rollout that has sent global stock markets into meltdown and left businesses across the U.S. fretting about uncertainty. With 40 million people and a large outward-facing economy that accounts for 14% of U.S. GDP, California looks set to bear the brunt of the economic damage. Newsom's office says California, which would be the world's fifth largest economy if it were an independent country, could lose billions of dollars in revenue if Trump's tariff policies shrink international trade. Gold is trading at $3,329.40 an ounce. The rand is at 18.87 to the dollar, 24.93 to the pound, 21.43 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.57 a barrel.
Leaving the Germiston CBD, heading towards Joburg, expect about a 30-minute delay. That's on the M2 westbound between Refinery Road and the Haldenes interchange. Also further up, traffic heavily backed up in the Cleveland area. on the M2 westbound between the Geldenes interchange and George Koch. And if you're heading towards Pretoria, there's a bumper-to-bumper traffic in the Midrand area. This is N1 northbound between the Betlu interchange and Olifantsfontein Road.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: friends and classmates of a student killed at the Walter Sisulu University in Tata have described him as a kind and caring person.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
What are the matters that matter to you?
702 listens
You're with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Eight minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela show on this Thursday/Friday, the 17th day of April. Thank you for staying with us here on 702, and thank you for your calls, your WhatsApps as well. I am glad that we were able to make both the Real Madrid fans and Arsenal fans at least happy this morning. Real Madrid, we played you a song that sort of takes you back to the stadium, that moment when you thrashed Real Madrid in a historic win. Well, Real Madrid, we played you Bella Ciao 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 just to uplift your spirits, because we know how sad you are this morning and we really care about you. We don't want you walking into a very long weekend with a broken heart. It's time now for our Hanging Out feature.
Hanging Out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Remember, you can catch the show live on YouTube. You can just go to the 702 YouTube account to watch this show live. You listen and watch us at the same time. On our Hanging Out feature this morning, we're hanging out with the youngest minister. Earlier I said the youngest minister ever for basic education, but it's actually just the youngest minister ever in our democracy, Siviwe Gwarube, who is the Minister of Basic Education. And we're going to get to know her better between now and 11 o'clock. Siviwe, welcome to 702. Well, welcome back, because you've been on the show and in this building many times.
Yes. Thank you. It's good to be here and finally to get to have this hangout. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And we can finally make it happen. And also, welcome back from Paris.
Thank you. I'm still tired. Landed late yesterday and yeah.
Look at you.
Good job.
Look at you, Global Trotter.
How are you dealing with traveling, by the way? Because I don't, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think even when you were a politician with the Democratic Alliance, you've ever traveled like you travel now as Minister of Basic Education.
No, not at all. It didn't come close. I mean, obviously, during an election campaign, you are on the road, but that is different because it's like 3 months of intense travel and like an intense election schedule.
Yeah.
But this is like continuous and it's consistent. So between living in two different cities and having two different wardrobes in Pretoria and in Cape Town, and trying to not make my milk go bad in the one house and it is insane. And then obviously there's the periodic international travel, which for me is the hardest part because I get very anxious about leaving the sector. I mean, my sector has 13.5 million people.
Yeah.
Anything can go wrong, and so I don't like being very far away from home. But yeah.
I must also congratulate you for being elected the 2025 Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what are you guys going to be doing as young leaders? What does this mean?
So, it's very cool, and I suppose it's also very prestigious. I know people like Macron are part of the class previously. Jacinda Ardern is also part of the class. So I suppose it's a very prestigious recognition of being a young leader under 40. And essentially what the Young Global Leaders seeks to do, which is comes from the World Economic Forum, seems to recognize young people who are changing the world in one way or another in their specific sector. And the cool thing is also that it's not just politics or government, it's various things. It's the arts. Like from South Africa, you also have Nomza Mumbata, who's also part of the 2025 class. So I think the one part is the recognition, but then the other part, you've got a 3-year term to try and utilize the global contacts you will make to make a positive impact either in your country or in the continent. And that for me, I think, is the most exciting part, because over and above being, told that you are recognized, there's now also an additional responsibility to say, well, you've got these global contacts now. What kind of real life impact can you make for people?
That's amazing, man. Yeah. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Okay, so the whole idea of the feature is also to get to know you better. And I want us to go back to your village. Where did you grow up? Is it at Konse?
Konse.
Okay,
oh,
not
my
Konse.
Goodness. People from the north.
Nani ninjalo angikwazi ukuthetha isipedi sethu limbombo
ngiyakhaloganya
Okay. So tell me about how you grew up. Like, I know you speak a lot about your grandmother who raised you. How was it being raised by your grandmother, and where did you fall in love with just politics and wanting to be part of working for the citizens or working for this nation?
Yeah. So, so it's a very, very typical South African story, actually. Many children are raised by their grandmothers in this country, which, is another topic for another day that we probably one day must unpack. But, just very much I was born, my mom was very, very young when I was born. She was 17, turning 18. Yeah, and so she then needed to go back to school, and my grandmother was like, well, look, I've raised my children already, I'm done, so I want this child to have the best shots in life. And so that's when I moved in with her when I was a year old, and she raised me. My mom only died, so when I talk about my mom, I'm talking about my gran.
Yeah.
Mama only died when I was 30. And the funny thing is, she was constantly preparing me. She was like, you've got to be independent. You've got to study hard. You've got to work hard. We only have one shot at this. I don't want to leave you when you're too young.
Sure.
Remember, I'm 50 years older than you. I don't want to die before you've made something of yourself. And so that was always the mantra, like even going through school, just like, do your best. I'm here. And we were so blessed.
Was
because
she a teacher?
Yes.
She sounds like she was a teacher.
Yes, she was a teacher. She was a teacher, Mama. And I suppose she wouldn't enjoy me saying this, but she retired when corporal punishment was outlawed. She said, no.
I can't do this.
You spare the rod, you spoil the child. And she was like, no, so I am going to go rest. Clearly my time as a sort of old school teacher is up.
Yeah.
So that, and that's how I grew up. And she was incredible. She was my first experience of what I think feminism is.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have necessarily identified as a feminist, but my mom was a spinster. She decided not to get married. She had said to herself that she wouldn't be able to achieve half the things she wanted to achieve if she got married in that kind of regime.
So progressive.
At that time, yeah.
At that time?
Yeah. Her long lost lover went to Robben Island for many years, and when he left and was incarcerated, she was just like, I'm going to raise my children and I am going to be a teacher.
Oh my God, that sounds like such a cool mama.
Hey, man.
Really?
Hey,
I would have loved to meet your grandma.
she
would be so proud of you now. I'm sure she is.
No, she is.
I'm sure she is so proud of you
And I'm
now.
so glad we got to hang out.
Yeah.
As an adult, I got to show her things. We got to travel a little bit around the country. She was so funny, man. So I'm glad that I managed to give her that.
Yeah. So I've had this debate with the listeners before on the show, because I think some of us who have been raised by our grandmothers, and I was raised by my grandmother from when I was young, probably till I was about 7, 8 or so, somewhere there. but I do think that we've got a different way of life. Like, we can do our chores. We've got better values. Like, we are just better humans. We've had this debate before. Some people who feel like, no, people who are raised by grandmothers are too spoiled, which to an extent I do believe. What do you think are the advantages and the disadvantages? If I can ask you to give me one or two advantage, disadvantage of being raised by a grandmother.
Great advantage, I feel like one of the things that Mama taught me is imbeko. But like, I feel like respect doesn't even begin to describe what imbeko is. Like respect for another. Like my mom was big on that. Doesn't matter who you greet, you treat people well. You don't get, it's not a social strata here. Apha endlini, everybody is equal and you give them the recognition. And I think the downside, I do kind of have an exceptionalism kind of mentality, because she kind of told me I can do anything. And I mean, I can, but not all at once.
And sometimes you're like, oh, I couldn't do that. But grandmother said I could. On respect, though, how then did you just rationalize you being in politics, where sometimes you had to be firm and tough towards older people, like Jacob Zuma, Baleka Mbete, they're in parliament? Because I find that when I go back home, my uncles, even my grandmother when she was alive, used to say to me, you are disrespectful to the politicians on TV. Why did you talk to the president like that? Why did you talk to this minister like that? I'm like, that's the job. It doesn't mean I disrespect them. In that moment, I have to ask the tough question. They never get it. So did your grandmother get it that sometimes you have to be tough on Jacob Zuma or Baleka Mbete or whoever in parliament?
I remember asking Dr. Mkhize a very controversial question in my first year in parliament in 2019, and my mom was still alive then. And she was mortified. She was like, listen, first of all, this is dangerous. Do not do this. Do not talk to people like this. And also just soften it. Don't speak like that about them, please. So a part of me is also sometimes glad that she's not around now, because I just feel like she would not cope with the harshness of public life. She would be very devastated. I mean, even when I was appointed, people were saying some trade unions came out and they were like, we don't want her. I just imagine her sitting there listening to Umhlobo Wenen and being like, oh, not my child.
Oh man, it's so. I remember interviewing, who was that guy from Mpumalanga, a taxi association guy? And I remember, and he threatened me on air. And
goodness.
And my mom called immediately and said, you can't, and he was serious. He was like, we are struggling. Like, I'm here in Mpumalanga and I'm concerned about your safety.
Oh my goodness.
Those people you spoke to are known to be notorious.
Oh my
So
goodness.
you need to stop this. I can't. It's job. Okay, there's so much to still talk about, Siviwe, but I want us to now play one of your favorite songs. So
I love music.
I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised that you're also a big fan of Nomfundo Xaluva. Because I don't think we've actually appreciated her enough. What an incredible artist.
Oh, my goodness. I cannot wait. So she's the one who's convinced me to go to the jazz festival. I was not going to go to the jazz festival, but I am going to the jazz to listen to this woman live because, woo!
Yeah. So which one of her songs?
So Him for Bully.
Him for Bully is the one.
Great.
Okay.
And there's another one that's very Methodist-like that I really, really like. And then there's another one with it's a tribute to her daughter, Uzizi. I love
Nomfundo, and I actually found out recently that she actually is a lecturer. She teaches music.
I didn't know that.
And I was like, that makes sense, because when you listen to how strategic and intentional every note is in her music, it's just incredible. Here's Nomfundo Xaluva.
Siziva silahlekile siphandlwa bubumnyama uThixo ukuthathile litshonile ilanga uzuthi xa uwelile ufike usikhonzele udada ukulindile lafezekidinga singxolelwa kukuthula kwelizwi lakho mama zusikhanyise lindlela apho uleli khona uzuthi xa uwelile ufike usikhonzele uqwashe ukulindile lafezekidinga siziva silahlekile siphandlwa bubumnyama zusikhanyise lindlela apho uhleli
Oh my God, I can't. I want to listen to that song like 10 times.
Yeah.
Because so that's a tribute to her mother.
So I think Ubuli was her mom, because she says in the song, "Uzusibulsele udwarha." So I think utatak.
Oh,
And then she
thank you
says,
for that
and she
song.
says that idinga lifeziwe. So your appointment when you meet up with him. It's like romantic and like, okay.
It's a beautiful song. It really touched me. Okay, let's go to some WhatsApps now. 0727021702. Do you have a question for our Minister of Basic Education, Siviwe Gwarube? We're getting to know her better this morning. And I know, often when we speak to Siviwe, it's like these tough conversations and the difficult questions.
Face the nation.
We're facing the nation. And you know what's surprising on YouTube? By the way, I'm seeing your comments on YouTube, so keep them coming. I'll read them from there. So you go to our 702 YouTube page if you want to watch this conversation live. But it's so interesting, Siviwe, how, like Dumisani, for instance, on YouTube says, Clement, I so love that woman. And then another one says, Clement, our Minister of Basic Education is so cool and so calm. Does it surprise you that people don't know you're so cool?
Yeah.
Because when you become a minister now, there's a particular posture you take.
Yeah. And I suppose for me, that's the biggest, that's one of the things that I miss most about not being a minister, is being able to show up as myself.
Yeah.
And I try to be as authentic as possible. I don't wear a mask, but at the end of the day, people make those assumptions because, and this is the sad thing, I was saying to the team the other day, I was saying, in as much as sometimes they help me run some of my public accounts, I still want to be absolutely active on there, because one of the biggest criticisms I used to have of like government accounts or government ministers is like, you can tell somebody's sitting there tweeting on their behalf.
Like, that's not you, ma'am.
Exactly. So I still want to show people that
Yeah.
there can be a more direct interaction with people who are leaders in your country, and also like they're also human beings too.
And you're a human being and you're cool. I remember there was a time when you were appointed, people went to your social media.
That video.
They got videos of you having your Jaeger or whatever. And I was thinking, Wait, like, what do you think? Do you think like she was sitting in a house waiting to be appointed like a pastor or a minister? Like, this is someone who's got a life.
It traumatized my family a lot.
They've never seen it before?
Yeah, well, I mean, no one like goes onto my Instagram, and then it kind of went onto WhatsApps and Facebook. And I remember getting a call from my family, and they're like, "Listen, we have to have a conversation about this."
Like,
what
what is this?
I was like, "Guys, this is 3 years old. Like, this is not even now. I promise." And they were like, "But who are you talking to?" I'm like,
Also, it's Jaeger, guys. Like,
I'm not doing anything illegal. Okay. I was on a holiday with friends and we were just horsing around, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's so unfair to be like a public figure because there are certain things that normal people do that it's so normal, but you just can't do it.
Hey, Dumela Clement, what a humble, down-to-earth human being you have there. You know, Siviwe, during the campaign of the DA, she used to say, to umama ohlala emkanduli ongenawo amanzi oluncedo luyeza nakuwe. To umntwana wesikolo ongenawo ama-toilet oluncedo liyeza nakuwe. So I used to say together with her when she's on the stage. And I remember meeting her on the at Joburg there, asked for a picture with her, and then I was so scared. And then she accepted, she agreed to take a picture with me. Tabiso from Midlands. I even sent a picture with myself with her.
That's so cool. There are a few people sending pictures that they took with you during campaigns, some when they just spotted you. Do you get that a lot, and how do you deal with it? Because it's like you're a public official, but there's some people that'll see you as like, oh, there's our celebrity.
Yeah. Well, first of all, now I can't look crusty at the airport. Firstly. So now when I have to go to the airport, I have to be like, I have to dress up. I need to put in a little bit of effort.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. Look, I mean, I suppose for me, because growing up, we didn't have people who looked like me, who sounded like me, who come from the same places as me as politicians. Yeah. I have a greater appreciation that we are starting to show South Africans that these are just people that you've hired through your vote. They are not any different. So I kind of also enjoy like meeting people who are like, oh, listen, can you take a picture for my kid? She's in matric. Okanye, can we record a video and say good luck for your exams? So for me, so I have a greater appreciation that this is a new thing for most South Africans, and it really comes from a good place.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's some people who gawk at you and just kind of, sneakily take pictures. But of course, they should just like ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that,
it's cool. It's fun. It's now 10:30. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. I see your calls on 011-883-0702, WhatsApps as well on 0727021702. I'll get to them after this. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. We start in the Western Cape, where an executive member of a regional taxi association has been killed. Mongi Titi was shot at the Nyanga taxi rank last night. Santako in the Western Cape says it's meeting with authorities to ensure that the case is handled with the urgency and seriousness it deserves. Gauteng top cop Shadrack Sibiya has reaffirmed his desire to be the next Hawks head when his 3 years in the SAPS comes to an end. Sibiya, who is currently the Deputy National Commissioner in charge of crime detection, began his career in the police force in 1983. EWN understands Sibiya is being tipped to take over from current Hawks head Godfrey Libea, whose term comes to an end in May. And the White House is refusing to bring back a man who U.S. officials have acknowledged was wrongly deported from Maryland to an El Salvador mega prison. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt doubled down on accusations that Kilma Abrego Garcia was a member of the MS-13 gang, which his lawyers deny. Leavitt also accused him of domestic violence, citing records showing his U.S. citizen wife once filed a protective order against him. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you are leaving the Germiston CBD, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the M2 westbound between Refinery Road and the Geldenhuys interchange. Also leaving the the Joburg CBD. There's slow-moving traffic M2 westbound between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. In Midrand, traveling towards Pretoria, we still have slow-moving traffic on the N1 northbound. This is between Allendale Road and Olifantsfontein Road. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Randburg at Malibongo Drive and Mahogany. There's also traffic lights not working in Bryanston at Winnie Mandela Drive and Sloan. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
They say every step tells a story. This July, your footsteps won't just leave marks, they leave a legacy. There's a route that's not just paved with history, but with meaning, memory, and movement. And this year, we don't just walk through history, we walk with it. Keep listening to 702. Something powerful is coming, and you'll want to be part of it. 702, let's walk the talk.
Let's toast to Kumalo, Sitole and Associates.
Kumalo, that's me, a partner at the table. If I had it my way, I would have made it Kumalo, Sitole, Abo Baba Nabo Auntie, who helped with money for registration fees when I was short. And don't forget my grandfather, Umtungwa. He's usually in overalls, but today, uswenkile. They all worked hard to get me here. So kahle kahle, they really are partners in this business.
Experience the power of mutuality. In 2024, we allocated 5.6 billion rand in profit share to our graduate professional members because at PPS, success is better shared. Learn more at pps.co.za. PPS is a licensed life insurer, controlling company and authorized FSP.
Mitsumania is here, and it's bigger than ever. For a limited time only, experience unbeatable deals on the Mitsubishi Outlander, Eclipse Cross, and Triton. For a limited time, you can get up to 90,000 Rand on deal assistance. Adventure, performance, style, whatever you're after, we've got it at a price that'll blow you away. But hurry, these deals won't last. Visit your nearest Mitsubishi dealership now, before time runs out. Mitsubishi Motors, drive your ambition.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It's 25 minutes now before 11 o'clock. On our Hanging Out feature this morning, we have got Siviwe Gwarube, who's the Basic Minister of Education, the Minister of Basic Education. Do you get irritated by how many people get your surname wrong? Because it irritates me. Like,
yes, so
even your colleagues, Gwarube.
It's very tough. Also because like I come from the Eastern Cape and people there never mispronounced it. And then the day I left the Eastern Cape, I was like, I got
Gwarube.
Siviwe, Gwarube.
Yeah, Gwarube. Gwarube.
Yeah.
Siviwe
But I have
Gwarube.
patience to teach if somebody's interested. What I don't like is, ask, say, how do I say it?
What irritates me is when people actually know, because they've heard you say it and they've heard many people say it, but they still want to insist on saying it this particular way.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's someone who's asking here about, hi Clement, this is Tevin, who says, Clement, please ask the Honorable Minister there. Honorable. I always get fascinated because even at events, like sometimes you MC events and they insist that the minister must be Honorable Minister. He's like, but I said minister.
Yes,
yes. No, you must say honorable.
Also, you're not honorable unless you're in the house, actually.
Yeah.
Actually.
I must say that to them next time.
You're not honorable unless you are in the House of Parliament.
Yeah, but also it's not so disrespectful. Like you're still saying minister. But anyway, this person says, can you ask the Honorable Minister how her interactions are with ANC members and whether she had any affinity to the party's history, given that she's from a province of legends?
So firstly, okay, so I think I want to tackle the first part. So I'm what you generally call first generation DA member. I have never been part of any other political party. I do come from a very heavy ANC family. I'll never forget the devastation of 2006 after Polokwane. Like it caused a devastation in my family when.
Did they support Thabo Mbeki?
Yes, they were a big Thabo Mbeki. My mom, in particular, was a big Thabo Mbeki fan, and she was personally touched.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, and then there was talk around during family events. Are they all gonna now vote Cope or whatnot?
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Did she convince you to vote for Cope?
So actually, interestingly, my first vote ever in university was for Cope.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know who to vote for. and I mean, and there were rumors that Thabo Mbeki was going to move over to COPE, and,
Yeah.
you know. But then I got to varsity, and then I started forming my own political ideology, and I got involved in the DA student organization, and then really got involved with the DA through the DA Young Leaders program. And that's when I met Olindi, where I started working for her as her media officer back in 2012. And then that's how and when the political bug bit. I remember being like a 22-year-old in the halls of Parliament when we moved the first motion of no confidence against former President Jacob Zuma. I was like living the dream of a political, and so that's when the political bug bit. And then with regards to my relationship with ANC people now, I really have good relationships with generally most people, as most of them. Most of my colleagues in cabinet. And I think also just one of the things that I can assure people that, you know, the kind of bustle and tussle that is seen often on the floor of Parliament is not really what happens behind closed doors. Generally, most people are just like really civil and decent, and you get to know a different side of them.
Yeah.
And
then they go play politics outside.
Yeah. So I actually have really good relations with my colleagues.
Great. Lorraine says, Clement, please ask Siv there, isituko o sakhe, isituko ungumabani from Nonkozelo in Orlando West.
Yes.
I don't know what I've just read, what that means. So
it means
is it a
it's
question? Is it a statement?
It
Go
is. It
ahead.
is a question. It's asking me about my clan name.
Yeah.
So I is to go sam Mamushe. All right. Mamushe ipaca uchiyo Tombela Baba nomhlehla. So the Amapaca are largely two groups. There's Amapaca from the former Transkei, and there's some Amapaca who settled in the former Ciskei area, and I am from the latter. So Dilipaca.
Yeah. And then Usas also said, Clement, I also want to know, Isitu was a minister before I propose live on television. Is there a chance?
A chance
for anybody out there?
No.
I wanna, huh? No,
I'm good.
Shame. Sorry, guys. Askies. And then here's another one here. Hi, good morning, Clement. Okay, I'll get to this question after these calls. Let's start with you first, Solomon in Kempton Park. Hi, Solomon. Okay, Solomon, I don't know what's wrong with that. Let's go to the WhatsApps while we reestablish that line with Solomon in Kempton Park.
Good morning, Clement, and our Honorable Minister of Basic Education, and to our listeners at large. To the Minister, I ask God to shower you with wisdom, and whatever you do, never compromise the education of a black child. My question to you is, what message can you send out to our learners who's changing the school environment into battlefields, where we as parents are too scared to send our children to school because of what is happening at our schools? What is your message to the country and to the learners at large? Thank you so much. Bye.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. In fact, on the front page of the Sowetan, they've got a story of how schools are gripped in gang terror. I think in Orange Farm, that's one of the areas that have been affected.
Yeah, Clement, look, I mean, the issue, in fact, this came up very sharply in our visit, in the presidential visit we were in yesterday in PE. The issue around safety in schools is really one that has reached crisis levels. So whether you are dealing with crime that's in the community that's affecting the schools, or whether you're dealing with violence within the school. And I think that there are various ways in which we need to deal with this. Number one, the one issue is around adults who assault children at school. SACE has been very good at making sure that we are vetting teachers who come in contact with children. But I've been very clear to the department that even in provinces, we must make sure that we vet anybody who comes in contact with the child, whether it's the security guard, whether it's a food handler at school, whether it's the cleaner. But we need to make sure that anyone who comes in contact with kids, we know exactly what it is, whether or not they have a criminal record. But at the end of the day, Clement, the thing about harming children is that, holding somebody responsible after the fact is that already harm has been caused, immeasurable harm. And so really we have to teach children on the one side to identify what inappropriate behavior is, to identify how and when they should speak up, because these are the things that we need to do simultaneously. Then in the next coming weeks, Minister Mkhunu and I are going to be launching our school safety plan, where the SAPs are coming on board with really key crime stats and locating them in schools. They've been able to drill down in specific schools in high-risk areas to tell us this is how many stabbings are happening here. This is the kind of drug abuse that is happening here. And for the first time, we're now going to be led by data in how to intervene with SAPs. Because before, we just had a general framework of working together with SAPs, which is not good enough. Because right now, as Lomama is saying, and in the front page of Sowetan is saying, we are seeing gang violence playing itself out inside schools.
Yeah.
And it's going to repel teachers. It's also going to repel parents who want to send their kids to school.
Your portfolio is so huge. Like, it's a huge responsibility. I mean, any country that wants to progress, one of the things you need to really focus on massively is the state of education, especially basic education. How did you respond when you got the call from the president?
Well, first,
what time was it? And were you shocked?
Well, firstly, I mean, it all happened very strange and very quickly in a sense. I mean, remember, I was part of the negotiating team during that time. So I spent a month in a hotel somewhere here in Gauteng, negotiating. And then it just seemed as though, now the negotiations had gone to a point where it was just John and the president that were now speaking, and so we could go home. So I went home for the weekend, and I was just trying to recuperate. I'd been through this election campaign. And then on the Saturday evening, I got because remember we had the family meeting on the Sunday. Yes, it was on the Sunday. So on the Saturday evening, I got a call from John saying, look, things are looking like we are able to come to a deal. And so, just to give you an update. And so I was like, okay, cool. Well, thank you, I suppose. So then I was like, okay, cool. Look, let me just maybe send him a text. I was like, look, if I am in your consideration for the people who may be going into the executive. This is kind of my wish list. And I can tell you with certainty that basic education was not in that wish list. And then on the Sunday, he called and he said, look, I can't think of anyone who can do this. I really want, and I was like, it's big. And he was like, I cannot think of anyone better to do this. And so it didn't actually become real until the president read out my name on TV that night. I was like, oh my goodness, it's now real.
Who did you call first?
Well, I told my family like 2 hours before, and I was like, please don't tell anyone because the nature of this GNU, like things could change.
Listen, it could change a second before.
Like, don't post anything. Just keep quiet. Facebook. Just keep quiet. I'm just warning you so that you don't get a shock. And then when it happened, I mean, my phone was like melting down. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go sleep. I'll deal with this in the morning. And then friends of mine like popped into our house and they came with flowers and so so it's taken me a long time to actually recognize how privileged I am on a personal level to be able to do this because immediately from day one I was just like, I'm coming in with an injury. I don't know the sector. I've got to learn. I've got to go. I've got to learn quickly. I've got to go to the provinces. And so for 6 months, all I did flat out was to try and educate myself. And I hadn't even had a moment to be like, whew, well, this is happening. And so now I'm just kind of learning to, Yes, it's stressful. Yes, it's a big job. Yes, it's a big responsibility. Yes, there's 13.5 million children who we have to look after. But also it's okay to like sometimes take a breather.
Absolutely.
Go for a walk and just be normal, because it's only when you're a holistic human being can you truly show up properly as a leader.
Yeah, speaking of taking a breather, Kanye West
Yes.
is one of your favorite artists?
Well, old Kanye.
Oh, thank God you said that, because I divorced Kanye. When was it? I divorced him actually live on air. Like,
Really?
I just got live on air and I was like, this is it. I'm filing for this. Is 2 years ago. I think 2.5 years ago. And I loved Kanye so much.
My brother, new Kanye, I don't recognize. Okay?
Yeah, I don't know who this
so
new Kanye
R.I.P.
is.
to old
the
Kanye.
old,
Kanye.
yeah.
I love old Kanye.
I love old Kanye.
Yeah.
So what a brilliant,
Hey,
what a
man.
man, what a brilliant brain. I don't know what happened, but I hope he'll come back.
Yeah.
Here's one of Siviwe's favorite tracks by old Kanye.
Yes.
It may not mean nothing to y'all, but understand nothing was done for me. So I don't plan on stopping at all. I want it forever, mine, ever mine, ever mine. I'm shutting down in the mall and telling that girl she the one for me. And I ain't even planning the call. I want it forever, mine, ever mine, ever mine. Last name ever, first name greatest. Like a sprained ankle, boy, ain't nothing to play with. Started off local, but thanks to all the haters, I know G4 pilots on a first name basis. In your city, faded off the brown. Nino, she insists she got more class. We know, swimming in the money, come and find me. Nemo, if I was at the club, you know I balled. Chemo, dropped a mixtape that sounded like an album. Who'da thought a countrywide tour be the outcome? Labels want my name beside an X like Malcolm. Everybody got a deal, I did it without one. Yeah, I'm about my business. Killing all these rappers, you would swear I had a hit list. Everyone who doubted me is asking for forgiveness. If you ain't been a part of it, at least you got to witness. Cheers. It may not mean nothing to y'all, understand nothing was done for me. So I don't plan on stopping at all. I want it forever, mine, ever mine.
Ever Mr. West is in the building. Ain't no question who about to kill. I used to have hood dreams, big fame, big chains. I stuck my dick inside his life until that came and went hard all fall like the ball teams, just so I could make it rain all spring. Y'all seen my story, my glory. I had raped the game young. You could call it statutory when a nigga blow up. They gon' build statues for me. Old money, Benjamin Button, what nothing. Super bad chicks giving me McLovin'. You would think I ran the world like Michelle's husband. You would think these niggas know me when they really doesn't. Like they was down with the old me. No, you f***ing wasn't. You such a f***ing loser. He ain't even go to class, Bueller. Trade the Grammy plaques just to have my granny back. Remember she had that bad hip like a fanny pack. Chasing the star, I'ma turn you to a maniac. All the way in Hollywood and I can't even act. They pull their cameras out and God me snap. I used to want this thing forever, y'all can have it back.
It may not mean nothing to y'all, understand nothing was done for me. So I don't plan on stopping at all. I want it forever, mine, ever mine, ever mine.
Okay, hello, it's the Martian, Space Jam Jordans. I want this forever, wake up and smell the garden, fresher than the harvest, step up to the target. If I had one guess, then I guess I'm just New Orleans. And I would never stop, like I'm running from the cops. Hopped up in my car and told my chauffeur to the top. Life is such a fucking roller coaster, then it drops. But what should I scream for? This is my theme park. My mind shine even when my thoughts seem dark.
Wait.
On my side, you don't wanna hear that thing talk. Let the king talk, check the price and pay attention. Lil Wayne, that's what they gotta say or mention. I'm like Nevada in the middle of the summer. I'm resting in the lead, I need a pillow and a cover. My foot sleeping on the gas, no brake pads.
Oh, man. I mean, Lil Wayne?
Oh,
man. What a song.
what a song.
Yeah.
This is my favorite workout song. Because I'm just like, yes, man. Yes.
Listen, I've got a 10K to do after the show. I'm going to be listening to this.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm going to be listening to this.
Morning, Clem and Minister. Minister, a massive fan of your work, your attitude, your vibe, and your laugh. I want to find out your thoughts on homeschooling. We decided to homeschool our daughter because she wasn't necessarily fitting into the one-size-fits-all general system of our schooling. And she's thriving. She even jumped a grade. She's 16, doing her matric this year. But she's thriving more like academically than she's ever thrived before. And then secondly, what are the chances one day we'll have kids coming out of school having learned stuff, being able to build stuff, fix stuff, manufacture stuff, do their own taxes, read a balance sheet? When is our education going there?
So, firstly, thank you so much, Dr. DJ Fresh. I mean, Dr. Fresh.
Okay, let's Professor Fresh.
Prof
Yeah.
Fresh. Thank you so much, DJ Fresh. DJ Fresh used to play when I was at Rhodes.
Oh, you were not those kids.
Yeah. The generation
Zake
that
Nlale
DJ Fresh.
He was here and he used to say that you know how many kids left university to just come to like one party.
No, I was at Rhodes, and when he used to go play there. Yeah. So he asked a very important question around homeschooling, and we currently are in the process of developing guidelines for homeschooling in particular. In fact, it's such a pity that the homeschooling aspect wasn't included in the Bella Bill, because part of the amendments to the SA Schools Act that's brought by Bella is actually to bring effect to some of these things that are already happening but didn't have this kind of legal framework. So we are currently in the process of developing guidelines and regulations for homeschooling, because what we want to be able to do is children, for instance, like as DJ Fresh is saying, that there are children who don't fit, who can't be pigeonholed into an academic system. And if you are able to homeschool your children, these then are the things that you ought to do so that they don't struggle, for instance, to leave from home to be able to go to a university. So those are the things and the snags that we are working out as a system to say, if you're choosing to homeschool your kids, how then do we make it easier for you, number one? And number two, how do we make it easy for the child to transition, for instance, from school to university or wherever else? Then the last question you asked is also around vocational training. Is absolutely right, and part of what we're trying to do is also diversify our offering. So it's not just academic skills, but we're also trying to have schools of skills. There's a fantastic one here, Soweto, where children are learning to build, learning to weld, learning to varnish wood and carpentry. And that kind of work is also important, Clement, because often we say to children who are not thriving academically, we are saying to them that they have no place in an academic system, when in fact they can. It just needs us to be able to respond to children's needs as opposed to telling them what we want them to do.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes now before 11.
Hi, I'm Lewis Hamilton. Victory demands everything, but the journey is never solo. My team carves the way, data and innovation are my compass. This is how today's champions are made.
Drive your success and trade like a champion. CFI, a global leading broker now in South Africa. Access over 15,000 instruments, advanced trading tools, 24/7 support, and superior trading services. Visit cfi.trade today. CFI Financial is an authorized financial services provider.
CFI, empower yourself.
Did you know you have the right to fair treatment when it comes to your finances? If you're not treated fairly, you can complain anytime, and if it's not resolved, the Financial Sector Ombud System can step in to help for free in any South African language, and you don't even need a lawyer. Got a pension fund issue? Reach out to the pension fund's adjudicator. Bad financial advice? The FAIS Ombud is there. Banking, credit, or insurance disputes? Just approach the National Financial Ombud. They'll all backed by the Ombud Council, so you're in good hands.
Most people already know that the smartest way to get through tolls is with a tag. With a tag, you don't need to carry cash or even use your credit card. You don't even have to stop or open a window. To drive smart, download the Sanral app to link your cards and manage top-up payments for your convenience. For more info, visit sanral.co.za. Tags are the way to go. Sunrail, an agency of the Department of Transport.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
4 minutes before 11 o'clock, we're wrapping up our Hanging Out feature with Siviwe Gwarube, who is the Minister for Basic Education. I want to bring in someone on the line now. Sibongile, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. Siviwe isicelo samaushe.
She just started laughing. So, Sibongile, you are one of Siviwe's childhood friends. What can you tell us about her? Because, we see the politician, we see the minister. What is it we don't know about her that you so appreciate Wenake as a friend?
Firstly, she's not cool. Stop telling her she's cool.
What are you talking about? She just played as Kanye West. That's the coolest thing ever.
No, my worry is that I now have to deal with someone who says, people think I'm cool. You are the only person who does not believe this thing. She's neither cool nor funny.
Yeah.
But outside of that, she's a very extremely passionate individual and a softie at heart.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I find amazing is how resilient she is, because the Twitter street
it's hard
will
out
drag
there.
on one side,
Yeah.
and then social media will drag on the one side and be on her case. But after a good pep talk, the next day she's like, okay, this is actually the work I'm supposed to be doing outside of people's opinions and all of that. But she's a very gifted individual.
That's amazing. Yeah. Sibongile Tuna,
You
thank
dark
you.
horse, you dark horse.
And then we've got a message from Vusi on YouTube says, Sis Siviwe is a true public servant, Clement, such a wonderful soul. I wish her all the best. And then says, what? I have a question for her. Which institution did she study in? Because the English is on another level. Where did you go to school?
I went to Rhodes, UW, and I'm at
Before?
UCT at Kingsridge High School.
Okay. And then another one says, Clement, amazing show there. What an amazing minister. So cool. And then Tevin says, Clement, I remember speaking to the minister at the ball run in Senton, and I manifested that she would be minister, and she's just simply smiled back. Can you give Tevin some credit here?
Hey, Tevin! Thank you, my guy. Thank you.
And then another one says, Clement, thank you for inviting the Minister of Basic Education. So much love. And welcome back. Really enjoying the show. Siviwe, it's been fun.
Oh, Clement, thank you so much. It's been so much fun. I want to stay here now.
Yeah, right?
But I have a whole day ahead of me. So.
Thank you for making time, and we really want to wish you all the best. I think you're an example of what's possible.
Thank you.
Especially to young people. We're tired of having old people in parliament or in cabinet, but being a rap, and it's just smelling rap there. So it's good to see young people who are equally capable of doing the work and who are passionate doing it. So thank you for coming through, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. And thank you so much to the listeners. They've been amazing.
It's 11 o'clock.
Are you ready to take control of your financial future? With personalized solutions tailored to your audacious goals. African Bank is more than just a bank. We are your partner in progress. Because when you grow, we grow. Join the bank that backs you. Visit our branch or go online to join. African Bank, audacity to believe. African Bank Limited is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Not all MBAs are created equal. At Henley Business School Africa, we deliver career growth and advancement that goes beyond borders. As South Africa's only global business school, our internationally accredited MBA connects you to 100,000 global alumni leaders. Ranked number 1 in the world by The Economist for alumni network power, Henley is your gateway to a global career and the confidence to lead anywhere. Ready to make your mark? Visit henleysa.ac.za.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting luxury.
All right, time for the news, and this Eyewitness News is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let cars.co.za find what moves you.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Siviwe Zulu. We begin in the Western Cape, where an executive member of a regional taxi association has been killed. Mongi Titi was shot at the Nyanga taxi rank last night. Santaco in the Western Cape says it is meeting with authorities to ensure that the case is handled with the urgency and seriousness it deserves. Lauren Isaacs has more.
The South African National Taxi Council says it's deeply saddened and shocked by Mongi Titi's assassination. It says Titi was a committed leader who played a significant role in ongoing efforts to build a more unified, safe and professional taxi sector in the province. Santaco Western Cape is calling for a thorough investigation and is appealing to anyone with information to come forward and assist police in their investigation. The council is also urging members of the taxi industry to remain peaceful and says violence must not be met with violence. Lauren Isaacs, Eyewitness News.
In Gauteng, Transport MEC Kidiboni Diale-Tlhabela is set to visit the family of a taxi owner who was shot and killed in Alberton. The woman, who was affiliated to the Katlehong People's Taxi Association, was murdered earlier this week in Buhle Park in Germiston. It's understood that she had taken over her husband's business after he was killed more than 5 years ago. Ntokozo Khumalo reports.
Last week, Gauteng Transport Department and the taxi industry leaders reached an agreement to stop violence in the sector. This meeting came after the MEC's threats to close taxi ranks and seize licenses for all warring associations. At least 59 people have died this year due to the increasing violent incidents in the industry. Department spokesperson Lisiba Mpia says this recent murder is unacceptable.
This goes against the commitment that has been made recently by the taxi industry to commit to the cessation of hostilities. And it is an indictment to the commitment that the industry has made to the people of Gauteng.
Mpia says the MEC's visits will serve as a means to address the ongoing scourge in the field. Ndogozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News.
Gauteng top cop Shadrack Sibiya has reaffirmed his desire to be the next Hawks head when his 3 years in the SAPS comes to an end. Sibiya, who is currently the Deputy National Commissioner in charge of crime detection, began his career in the police force in 1983. EWN understands Sibiya is being tipped to take over from current Hawks head Godfrey Lebeya, whose term comes to an end in May. Oren Singh reports.
Seasoned detective Shadrack Sibiya says should the president come knocking for an appointment for the position of Hawks head, he is more than willing to accept.
I'll be lying to you if I say to you I don't have the aspirations of seeing myself one day as the national head of the DPCI. Should that opportunity arise, after all, it is the prerogative of the president and the minister as to who do they want to serve. That's a position that I'll be happy to serve in, leading to my retirement.
The Hawks position will become vacant in May when current head Godfrey Lebeya's term comes to an end. President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to make his appointment for the next head of the Hawks as of the 1st of June. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
And the White House is refusing to bring back a man who U.S. officials have acknowledged was wrongly deported from Maryland to an El Salvador mega prison. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt doubled down on accusations that Kilma Abrego Garcia was a member of the MS-13 gang that which his lawyers denies. Leavitt also accused him of domestic violence, citing records showing his U.S. citizen wife once filed a protective order against him. A Maryland judge has ordered President Donald Trump's administration to bring Garcia back to the U.S., but El Salvador President Nayib Bukele says that he does not have the power to return him to U.S. soil. Gold is trading at $3,320.37 an ounce. The rand is at 18.86 to the dollar, 24.98 to the pound, 21.48 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.35 a barrel.
Heading towards Centurion, there's about a 20-minute delay. This is in the Midrand area, N1 northbound between Allendale Road and Olifantsfontein Road. Avoid that route if you can at all costs. You can rather use Old Pretoria Road or the R55 as alternatives. There's also slow-moving traffic that's leaving the Germiston CBD on the M2 westbound between Refinery Road and the Galdenes interchange, and also slow-moving traffic in the Kempton Park area, R21 northbound, that's opposite OR Tambo International Airport.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 22 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: an executive member of a regional taxi association in the Western Cape has been killed in Nyanga.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Do you want to buy a Honda? Cars.co.za. Toyota or Mahindra? Cars.co.za. Do you want to sell a Cherry? Cars.co.za. Suzuki or Mercedes? Cars.co.za. Polo, Kia, Mitsubishi, Havel, Hyundai, Lamborghini. Buy and sell, it's very easy. All you got to do is type Cars.co.za. 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 Let's find what moves you. Cars.co.za. Cars.co.za.
702.
We're listening to you. You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome. This is the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. I think that was quite a fun chat with Siviwe Gwarube, the Minister of Basic Education. The whole purpose of the Hangout feature is for you to get to know them a little more differently to how you know them ordinarily. So I love it when the guests walk away after the conversation and you walk away with a new perspective about them, right? You walk away understanding them a lot more better. You walk away understanding and appreciating a different side of them. And I think that's what we were able to do with Siviwe in the previous hour. So fascinating. Remember, if you are watching us live on YouTube, you're welcome to send your comments. I've tried to read as many as I could earlier on. So get your comments coming on the YouTube channel. If you're watching us live right now on YouTube, you can watch on the 702 YouTube page, and you can comment there as well. We'll be reading and cross-reading your comments as we go along. Time now for the Thursday Dialogue.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
So, on our Thursday Dialogue this morning, we are discussing foreign policy and what kind of concessions we should be prepared to make as South Africa in order to amend or mend our ties with the US, especially now that we have a special envoy to the US, and that's us hoping that they're going to accept him there. I'm already hearing from some people how do you say this without compromising people? I'm already hearing from people who are close to the situation that there are already questions being asked about this man, and whether or not the key people he needs to be meeting with in the US are going to agree to meet with him, given the views that he's made in the past. And, I've seen people also put up what, the proposed ambassador to South Africa, the US ambassador to South Africa, and what he said about Donald Trump. This is not a competition about who has said what. It's not. This is about South Africa dealing with a presidency or an administration that appears to be hostile, at least towards this country. So anything that you do is going to be questioned. So when you are going to appoint someone as an ambassador, you've got to be damn sure that that person is going to tick the boxes. Some boxes you may think are ridiculous and are selfish on the other side, because which other politician has not said any bad thing as an activist? So, of course, what Mcebisi Jonas has done is normal. That's what happens. He is now occupying a particular position as a special envoy, and that's what's going to guide those interactions. But we are dealing here with uncharted waters. We are not dealing here with an administration that's just going to understand that. Do you understand that? It matters what kind of person you appoint as an ambassador, as a special envoy. It matters what those people have said. It matters how they've positioned themselves, because you are dealing with an administration that is always going to try and find something wrong with every move you make. So, we've got a special envoy now. He says he's ready for the job. There's a huge task ahead of him. What does he need to do when he gets there? Who does he meet with first? And what kind of concessions, if any, does he need to agree to as he starts with those meetings? And that's if really he will be meeting with the key people he wants to meet with. So you can share your thoughts with us on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. The president, so yesterday, defended Mcebisi Jonas as a special envoy. Of course, following that reemergence of the remarks that he's made in the past about President Donald Trump. And the presidency has said that they believe that, Jonas's remarks is actually, those are remarks that he made as an activist. And they don't believe that those will get him into trouble with Washington. Jonas himself has said that, well, I was an activist when I made those remarks and I know what I'm doing now. There's another thing now that's a bit of a concern, because Mcebisi Jonas chairs the MTN board, right? He is a non-executive chair at MTN. MTN has got investments in Iran. You know how the US feels about Iran. So is that something maybe that they're going to use also as an excuse not to give this guy our special envoy audience? Your thoughts, please. We've got Tembisa Fakude, who's a senior research fellow and director at Africa-Asia Dialogues, joining us now. Tembisa, thank you so much for joining us for this chat. Good morning.
Thanks for having me, Clement.
We also have Dr. Emmanuel Matambo, who is a research director at the Center for Africa-China Studies at the University of Johannesburg. Dr. Matambo, thank you for also joining us. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Clement, my fellow panelists and your listeners. Thank you for the kind invitation.
Tembisa, let me start with you here. And I want to start off first with just Mcebisi Jonas. I was saying earlier on that, we're dealing with an administration here that's always going to find something wrong. And I think that's why the president is taking his time even with an ambassador, because they want to make sure that they get the right person whom the U.S. is not going to find fault in. And I think that's going to be quite a tall ask. What do you think of Mcebisi Jonas, given what we know now? Do you think this is someone America accepts and opens doors to for any conversation as we try to mend our relations?
Well, I think we'll have to wait and see. There hasn't been much said from the United States regarding Mcebisi Jonas, but he is quite an accomplished politician and a professional, and hopefully he's going to further the interests of South Africa and the United States. But it's also going to be hypocritical for Donald Trump to hold Mcebisi Jonas accountable for his past statements, notwithstanding that Marco Rubio, for example, and J.D. Vance have said much more harsher statements against Donald Trump. I mean, J.D. Vance went to an extent of likening Donald Trump to Hitler.
Yeah.
So these are statements that were said in the past, and hopefully they're going to be overlooked. But again, South African government tends to do this kind of very careless mistakes. Obviously, Mcebisi Jonas was not thoroughly vetted, and if he was, these statements would have at least been taken into consideration. He said these kind of things, and knowing the sensitivities and the thin skin that Donald Trump has, one would have expected that the president and the government of South Africa would have taken that into consideration before confirming Mcebisi Jonas as a special envoy.
Yeah, and I've heard even some in the presidency saying, there are people who work with Trump now who've said terrible things about him. But that's not the point, because Trump doesn't care much about that. But Trump has a mission with us. And the mission that he has with us is to put pressure somehow in some of our foreign policy positions. And he doesn't care much what Mcebisi Jonas, who's a businessman in South Africa, has ever said about him. But if he can use that as an opportunity to put pressure and to send a message, that's exactly what he will do. And for you, Dr. Matambo, what do you think of this choice as a special envoy? And do you think that it works to send a special envoy first to sort of set the ground for an ambassador to come through? Is this the way that it could help us as we try to mend these relations with the U.S.?
So just to pick it up from what Prof. Fakude has said there, yes, obviously there are a lot of things that have been said about Donald Trump because he's notoriously divisive. But when it comes to taking the steps of appointing an envoy, first of all, before an established ambassador to the United States, I think this is the right step because we have to be realistic about where the relationship between South Africa and the United States is at the moment. It will probably be more of an embarrassment or a diplomatic fallout if we were to send an ambassador only for him or her to be rejected out of hand by Donald Trump, considering what happened to former Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool. So this is a necessary, I think, a convenient step, a realistic step on the part of the president. Now, when it comes to the person itself of Mr. Jonas, I've read already after the news came out on the 14th of April, the National Review, which is a conservative publication in the United States, said a lot of negative things, so to say, about Mcebisi Jonas, implying, so to say, that his mission, whatever it will be, is dead on arrival. Solidarity AfriForum have said the same thing, almost uplifting, reproducing what was published in the National Review. But I think, Clement, fundamentally, we have to look at Donald Trump's relationship with Africa in general, and South Africa just taking the backlash of much of that because it is Africa's biggest economy. This is a president who was in power for 4 years between 2017 and 2021, and not once did he even set foot in Africa. And we have noticed also some of the unsavory things that he has said about Africa. So South Africa takes its attention in the United States in terms of Africa's estimation in the Trump administration is highlighted precisely because of South Africa's imposing economy on the African continent. And by the way, we do not have to forget the fact that Donald Trump is surrounded by South Africans, white South Africans, I should specify that as well, who have their own vested interests in traducing or presenting the African National Congress in very bad light. We look at Elon Musk because of the influence that he has, but Trump has other South Africans around himself. I can name Joel Pollak as being one of them. For example, we have the people who took part in starting Pearl Power. So some people also interested in the media industry in America who are surrounding Donald Trump, and they might as well be feeding him some of the information that will make Mcebisi Jonas's mission more difficult than it should be ordinarily.
Yeah. Tembisa, I mean, obviously Mcebisi Jonas has to now embark on this new role. He must navigate just the complexities of international diplomacy. Should there be a willingness to compromise or make even some foreign policy concessions? And I wonder what those then could be. I mean, for instance, let's look at the relationship with Iran. When the ANC was meeting with some, Iranians was it a month or so ago, there was a big hoo-ha. And there was a lot of criticism that how dare you do that knowing how Trump feels about Iran. I mean, we're a sovereign state. Trump is friends if he goes and meets with North Korean leader or whoever. South Africa doesn't say, how dare you meet maybe with someone that we don't agree with. But Donald Trump doesn't like Iran. And in fact, this has been used many times as a reason why our relationship are so strained. So must there be a willingness to cut ties with Iran or to halt the campaign against Israel? What should we be willing to concede on? Tembisa?
Well, I don't think we should
Oh, Your line is breaking there, Tembisa. I'll come to you. Maybe we'll try re-establish that line. Dr. Matambo, let me ask you to respond to that question, and then I'll get Tembisa to come in as well. Should we be willing to make concessions in as far as our foreign policy is concerned? Because I honestly think that's the only time that the Trump administration is going to listen, is when we are saying we're willing to talk and to make some changes. But what does that then say about our sovereignty if it's just open to being influenced so easily by another country like that?
South Africa is really walking a very difficult line here. Should it compromise its foreign policy, or should it compromise its methods of going about foreign policy? For example, you highlighted the importance of Iran, and I guess we were going to talk about Mcebisi Jonas's position at MTN as one of those sticky points. I would rather myself refocus the light on Israel, by the way. South Africa's stance on Israel, taking Israel to the International Court of Justice, and how that, by the way, conjured up evoked this bipartisan. It was not a Republican thing, by the way, rejection of South Africa's case at the ICJ. It was actually bipartisan Congress rejection before even Donald Trump acceded to the presidency last year. Now, why was that compounded when Donald Trump came? Because remember, when we look at Donald Trump, I think America's foreign policy, trade policy, and everything that is happening at the moment is all resting on the shoulders of Donald Trump as a person. If you look at Marco Rubio, for example, there's some of the stances that he has been taking now, not the stances that he took before, but he has to take the stances that align with Donald Trump's personal interests. Now, who are Donald Trump's biggest funders apart from Elon Musk? Miriam Adelson. She was actually one of the most prominent funders of the Trump campaign for 2024. Not only that, she's also a stanch believer, a stanch follower of Israel and whatever is happening between Israel and Palestine at the moment. So that goes right to the heart of Trump's personal interests. So whatever South Africa stands against in that particular fact, puts South Africa at a diametrically opposed position from where the United States is. So it would be difficult, though, for South Africa to walk back its principles, because then it will mean whatever South Africa has discussed, whatever the African National Congress as a political party has believed in, can just be washed away with. I read an article co-authored by Greg Mills. I think it was in the Daily Maverick, where they said South Africa does not have foreign policy principles. It just says according to whoever gives it the most importance, so to say, or flatters it. I think that would be very problematic if it were to compromise on everything. There are principles on which South Africa should not compromise, such as a free Palestine with people that are not living under a modern day apartheid. That obviously cannot be compromised upon, but there are certain methods, for example, of foreign policy, those then you can debate on.
Yeah, let me bring in now Peter Fabricius, who's our foreign policy analyst. Peter, thank you so much for also joining this conversation. Let me have you have a bite on that question as well. Just, the U.S. approach now, obviously, well, at least it appears, it's to isolate these nations that it perceives as not aligned with its foreign policy objectives. So, yes, it's okay for us to send an ambassador there, send a special envoy there, but do we actually have a plan? And what's our plan? Because getting to the U.S. and saying, we're not doing anything about ICJ, we're not moving on our allyship with Iran. If we get there and we just say we stick to what we've always stuck to, then I don't know if that's going to help us mend these relations.
Yeah, look, we face a really serious dilemma, as your other panelists have pointed out. I mean, I personally think there's quite a lot wrong with the ANC's foreign policy, and one of the issues with it, I would have to say, is that they're insisting on a monopoly on foreign policy, despite the fact that we now supposedly have a GNU where all issues, including foreign policy, are supposed to be agreed on by consensus. Anyway, so there's I think there's certain foreign policy issues that they could concede on. I mean, it's interesting to me that just this week, Jim Risch, who's the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, issued a statement once again condemning South Africa because it's now turning up the pressure again to kick Taiwan out of Pretoria, to kick force it to close its office in Pretoria and move to Johannesburg, which is completely unnecessary. I mean, Taiwan has offices like that in Moscow and in New Delhi and Brasilia, amongst our BRICS partners. And there are other issues. Russia is not such a big issue anymore because Trump is now sort of, in some ways, probably in many ways, closer to Putin than to Zelensky, what he clearly is. But it's still our position on Russia refusing to condemn them for the invasion does still irk some Republicans, so that isn't helpful. But on the principal issue, I mean, I think the principal issue in all of this is probably our taking, Israel to the ICJ on genocide charges. And I mean, South Africa is not going to concede on that. So one wonders whether any other foreign policy concessions are really going to make a huge difference.
And what do we do though, Peter? Because some people argue, and let me read you the tweet, in fact, because it links to the question I want to ask. Bambata on Twitter says, Clement, the president got it absolutely wrong, even with Jonas. Mending relations using a controversial character is just short-sighted, but also with Trump, diplomatic rules do not apply. So if diplomatic rules do not apply with Donald Trump, then how should we be approaching the fixing of the relations with the U.S. without also looking weak? Because you also don't want to go and start conceding to things that you don't really want to concede to, but because you want to appease the U.S., but it compromises us and our standing in the world. So how do we do it? How do we balance the two?
Yeah, with difficulty, obviously. I mean, as I said, there's some issues, some foreign policy issues, I believe. I mean, I think we should drop the attempt to boot Taiwan out of Pretoria. I think we should also, that might already have happened. I get a sense that it might have happened already. There's this crazy idea of renaming Santon Drive as Lila Khaled Drive, which Nomvula Mokonyane very, clearly indicated was a way to try to embarrass the US by forcing it to change the letterheads on its consulate general in Johannesburg, which is in Santon Drive, and so on. So we can start making some of those concessions, which I think should be done anyway, because I don't think they're good positions. The other thing, and it's not quite clear what irritates Trump most, because if you look at his tweets or whatever, Truth Social posts, it kind of varies. He's got a big focus on the Expropriation Act and his notion, completely distorted and exaggerated that that there's like a campaign of genocide against white Afrikaners and so on. But maybe there's some need for fine-tuning the Expropriation Act to make clear that in what circumstances, for example, you can have expropriation without compensation. Hard to say whether any of these will make. I mean, Trump is a very hard bargainer, as we know, and he demands maximum return for any concessions he's going to make. So, but that's worth an attempt, it seems to me. And then Vincent Magwenya, the president's spokesman, mentioned some weeks ago already that look, AGOA seems to be dead in the water, and we need to go and talk about a bilateral trade deal. Something about access to critical minerals and so on. That kind of thing is a possibility. I mean, as I said, it's very hard to say what might work, but those are the kinds of things perhaps that are worth a shot.
And I wonder what that minerals deal would have to look like. I'll get Tembisa and Dr. Matambo to respond to that after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. It's 11:30. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. A very good morning. A scholar transport driver has been gunned down in Sophiatown in the western suburbs of Joburg after his early morning school drop-off today. No other injuries have been reported. Police in Gauteng have confirmed that shooting. The motive behind the killing of the 60-year-old is not yet clear. The women who testified in the sexual abuse trial against Nigerian televangelist Timothy Omotosho say they are living in fear. The witnesses say the justice system has failed them and they are unhappy with the recent court outcome. Earlier this month, Omotosho, who was accused of raping young women from his church, was acquitted on all charges. This week, 3 Chapter 9 institutions announced that they would be launching an inquiry into the outcome of the trial. And the city of Ekurhuleni has vowed to deploy law enforcement to various churches considered crime hotspots during Easter services. The reassurance of increased safety at places of worship comes as the city launches its holiday safety campaign. The campaign also includes roadblocks as well as additional boots on the ground during this period. Those are the headlines this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
At this stage, if you're in the Durban Deep area, that's in Roodepoort, there's a bumper-to-bumper traffic on Randfontein Road between Corlett Avenue and Miles Stalker. Also, heading into the Joburg CBD, traffic is a bit sluggish on Main Reef Road. That's approaching the M2. In Bedfordview, slow-moving traffic, N3 northbound. That's approaching Van Buren. There's also slow-moving traffic. That's in the Kempton Park area, heading towards Pretoria. There's the R21 northbound approaching Atlas Road. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Bryanston at Winnie Mandela Drive and Sloane. I'll have your next Eyewitness News traffic update just after 12.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
The reference then to dispute between City Power and the Salga Bargaining Council. Is it your view that there is no such dispute, or are you saying there is a dispute but it's about something else?
I am not aware of Salga Bargaining Council bringing a dispute to us. I am aware, however, of one City Power employee who is in the supply chain space, having put a claim to say some people who he believes were wrongfully promoted.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
You wouldn't want to pay more than you need to for electricity, so why overpay for car insurance? Switch to Outsurance and you could save big every month. Zandile, a 36-year-old woman, is a real Outsurance client who saves a mind-blowing 918 Rand a month on her 2024 Cherry Tiggo 1.5 litre. Isn't it time you got the real deal? Don't pay more. Switch and save today. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. With Outsurance, you always get something out. A licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Here at Betway, we're finding every way possible to make sure you can win your next sports bet. With our new Bet Saver feature, you could get your stake back or more on bets with multiple losses. Stand to win, even when your bet misses. Bet Saver, exclusive to Betway. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. South African Responsible Gambling Program toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Winners know when to stop.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age. Or now also in a no-water-needed fruity flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and phlegmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
This Freedom Month, 702 invites you to a soulful celebration of democracy and music. Join us for an exclusive afternoon of world-class live jazz, gourmet dining, and connection. Curated by Jazz and Beyond's Nothemba Madumo. Wednesday, 30th April, at the historic Sanctuary Mandela, Houghton. With performances by Fea Faku, Herbie Tswaedi, and Ziza Maftik. Plus a global concert live stream from Abu Dhabi. Celebrate the freedom of jazz on International Jazz Day with 702 and Jazz and Beyond. Powered by Omoda. Limited seats available. Book now at ticketmaster.co.za.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
24 minutes before 12 o'clock on our Thursday Dialogue this morning, we are once again talking about relations between South Africa and the US. We now have a special envoy to the US in Mcebisi Jonas, but do we actually have a plan? And what do you think should be our plan? I'm interested in your thoughts on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Tembisa and Dr. Matambo, I want you guys to weigh in on the issue of perhaps using minerals as part of our plan to appease the US and chat to them. I'll start with you, Tembisa. Do you think that will work? I do remember that in February, was it in February when President Trump's administration raised an interest in developing the mining sector in Africa. And I remember he also signed an executive order focusing on minerals, mineral extraction, and mineral processing. In fact, my understanding is that Scott Woodard, who is the acting Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Energy Transformation at the U.S. State Department, also referred to the partnerships that Trump is interested in at the mining endeavor this year. So how would that work? Because when Zelensky was in the U.S., he was there to also sign some kind of a minerals deal. But I imagine our industry is not only interested in mineral extraction, but the continent also wants projects that add value to the raw materials in order to boost even our own industrialization. So could that work for us, Tembisa? Having some kind of a minerals deal?
I think it could work, but importantly, we need to remember that we're not the only ones who have the essential minerals that the United States needs. We know, for example, that the United States has just signed a deal with the DRC in terms of the United States accessing all the minerals in its country, and they've got a lot in abundance. So while South Africa really does regard itself as important in this regard, I think the United States has a lot of other options. We know that the United States is sponsoring and busy constructing the Lopido Corridor railway line that will link up Zambia, Botswana, DRC, and Angola. So Angola is actually going to be one of the most important countries and ports that will be exporting the minerals from this continent to the United States. So South Africa, again, has been left behind in this regard because of our stance on our foreign policy positions, which is not, by the way, wrong. I think South Africa took an important position, particularly when it comes to Israel. And we also have to insist on maintaining our relationship with Iran. We know that Steve Witkoff, who is the special envoy in the Middle East for the United States, is currently in Oman speaking with the Iranians, trying to mend relations. Donald Trump is quite happy and proud that he has initiated those discussions.
But they hate it when we have discussions with Iran.
Yeah, of course, he's got a problem with us having a relationship with Iran. But at the moment, we know that he's busy having discussions with Iran, and he's hoping to do business with Iran. He said that in front of Bibi Netanyahu when he visited United States some couple of days ago. So we have to understand again, which I think is very important, that Donald Trump is going to be in power for the next 3 years and a half. And after that, there's a life that will have to consider. And South Africa cannot afford to compromise its position. It has to take a firm but informed position when dealing with the United States without compromising basic principles, because Donald Trump is not going to be there forever in the United States. Of course, he's trying to extend his tenure. He's talking about the next tenure, which I don't think is going to succeed in doing.
He said there are other ways to do it. And he said there are other ways to do it, and I'm considering that.
Indeed, but I don't think it's going to be successful. So our position has to take that into consideration, that we are a state that's governed by laws and adheres to international law and principles, and we need to stick to that. We must not change simply because we've got a bully at the White House who seeks to impose his own position on us.
Yeah. Dr. Matambo, your thoughts?
Yes, indeed. I'll just pick it up from where Prof. Apodi has left it. It is dangerously reductionist for us to think as if Donald Trump's interests in South Africa or wherever are purely material and that we can just appease him with minerals. This I would actually say that diplomacy and Donald Trump's own personal interests are more or less at play here rather than what South Africa can offer. Because if you look at the United States' biggest traders, South Africa is nowhere near the top 5, for example. Even though obviously in South Africa, the United States is one of our biggest trading partners, both in imports and exports, certainly one of the top 5. So I don't think us appeasing them with the minerals that we have would appease the United would sufficiently mollify Donald Trump, because he has a lot of options when it comes to that as well. And then I think when it comes to the issue now, the last point where Prof. Fakude left off there is very salient there about the finitude of Donald Trump's presidency. You cannot compromise your principles, especially for a four-year term that Donald Trump will be in power. I think this is actually the problem that Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, even has with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been very adamant that Putin listens to him, and that if he tells Putin to stop the war, he can stop the war at any time. But Volodymyr Zelensky says, what happens though in the aftermath of the Trump presidency? We cannot just compromise everything that we have, cede our sovereignty, cede our foreign policy, because Donald Trump has a personal relationship with Russia, for example. So I think these are some of the things that in the long run, South Africa has to consider. That is why I insist on the fact that when it comes to certain principles, I think the South African government should not give any ground to that. But obviously, there are probably other avenues that can be explored in order to make sure that they pacify the United States. One of those things, we'll probably have to listen to what exactly are those South Africans hardened against Donald Trump, telling it, because that will go to Donald Trump's personal interests, and that will have more sway than whatever mineral or diplomatic recourse South Africa might have.
Let me go to some calls, and then I'll bring in Peter in a moment. 011-883-0702. Tim, you're calling us from Brits. What are your thoughts? Hi.
Hi, good morning. Thanks, Clement. I was just thinking about the earlier comments that were made regarding the appointment of Mr. Mcebisi Jonas to be a special envoy. You know, one would have thought that, I don't know, I tend to be corrected, one would have thought that it's better to understand the lay of the land first by waiting for the ambassador from America to land, get to understand the lay of the land from the person in the country in South Africa before we send someone straight to America without understanding which doors are closed and which doors are open. That's just my view. I don't know what the other callers would think. Thank you.
All right, Tim, thank you so much. Let's hear from the others on the WhatsApp line. In fact, let me start with this text, and then I'll get to that voice note. Tafara says, Clement, sending a compromised person like Jonas to the U.S. is just playing straight into Donald Trump's hands. Trump is looking for and using, including lies, ways to force the ANC into changing its U.S. unfriendly foreign policy choices, and nothing will improve till that happens.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to all 702 listeners. Clement Sebastian here out of Addo Park. The one and only thing that I wouldn't like South Africa to compromise on is the court case in the ICJ. Because once we do that and we capitulate, then they're going to take everything else away. We are a sovereign state, so sorry, ne? Thanks, Clement. Great show. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Peter, let's talk a bit about China, because that there's a conversation that has been emerging about whether this is an opportunity for China to occupy that space. So how it responds even in this trade war, how it positions itself even as Trump then antagonizes even America's allies is going to be so crucial during this time. So just talk to us about the role of China in all of this. So beyond just the tariffs, like, where is it now, and what opportunity does this moment present for China?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think China is seeing an opportunity to step into the vacuum, in a sense that Trump is leaving by withdrawing from international relations, antagonizing even allies like Europe and Canada and so on. and presenting itself as the good guy. You know, I mean, in the sort of Western dialogue so far, in the Western discourse, it's been very much the opposite, and it's like, you know, US and the West are the proponents of free trade and, you know, democracy and whatever. I mean, China cannot claim in any way to be a proponent of democracy, but it can claim to be a proponent of free trade. Okay, so it's retaliated to Trump with tariffs, but I think that is probably, they believe that will be seen as a retaliation and not something they initiated. So yes, and you know, I've got a story in Daily Maverick today, a survey that was conducted amongst middle powers, you know, experts in South Africa, India, Germany, and Brazil, and they're all seeing that the aggressive, you could call it the aggressive isolationism of Trump is driving countries towards China, also towards non-alignment, incidentally, which is a slightly interesting kind of dichotomy there. But yeah, I mean, clearly what Trump is doing has created an opportunity for China.
Yeah, and Tembisa, your thoughts on what opportunity this presents for China? I mean, we are seeing the dismantlement of just the international system. There's a global economic realignment here, and I know China has its own vision for the world, and you know, and putting that in place with the US as the major leading superpower is going to be difficult. So, how do they rise up to this occasion? What opportunity does this moment present?
Well, I think this opportunity present it's immense opportunities to China. Firstly, China is hungry and willing to consume and import whatever goods and services that United States has since rejected because of its tariffs. South Africa, for example, has been getting calls. We hear from reliable sources from the time the United States imposed the tariffs of China, saying, please bring all those goods our way, particularly agricultural goods. What you're also going to be having is you're going to have China dominating, particularly on automobile, electric vehicles. We already know that China's market is becoming very big, and they're going to be exporting all of that to various countries that are looking at replacing the current automobile with electric vehicles. So China stands to benefit economically a lot. My only worry, of course, is this American exceptionalism that's been thrown out of the window. The country that has always been known for promoting and condoning basic rights that all of us appreciate. Unfortunately, the current powers that be at the moment are not really keen on prioritizing that. And the United States for a very long time has been known as a country that promoted freedom of expression, freedom together and all those kind of things. But we see now all of that evaporating under Donald Trump. But overall, I think China is going to be the new leader in terms of economics around the world, and South Africa is going to strengthen its relationship with China because China is ready and willing to consume whatever it is that we're initially sending to the United States.
Yeah, and China, Dr. Matambo, has also been working hard. I mean, they've been sending their envoys. I saw they met with their counterparts in Japan, in South Korea, the European Union. And the message that it's preaching is that we need to work together against this unilateral bullying from the US. That's like the message that they're sending out. What are your thoughts on where China finds itself right now?
When it comes to trade and diplomacy, I think what is happening in the United States now is the best thing ever that China would have wished for, because it is now looking even more reliable. I had a discussion yesterday with friends. I was just giving them the sheer numbers of China's propaganda, especially on the African continent. I mean, Xinhua, which is a Chinese news agency, it has about 37 bureaus across Africa. In Kenya alone, Chinese media employ about 500 journalists. These are people who churn out a total of about 1,800 news items per month. So you can imagine, and also it is also China that is also involved in a lot of media training. African journalists make a beeline to China on a yearly basis. So millions and millions of dollars are spent on burnishing China's reputation or China's image in Africa. But what is happening at the moment is that China does not even have to spend all those millions again for it to appear as a more reasonable or reliable partner whatsoever. It just doesn't have to be aggressive in terms of its pursuit of sovereignty over the South China Sea, for example, and the threats that have been surrounding Taiwan. It just has to sit back, play by the rules that the United States itself set, by the way, and China will look like the bigger person in the room. You alluded to the discussions that have been going on between the European Union and China's Foreign Affairs Ministry. We can also talk about the junket that President Xi Jinping has taken to Southeast Asia. These are countries, by the way, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Malaysia, that have been historically very uncomfortable about China's trade relations with them. But all of a sudden today we have seen that there is a change in rhetoric, so to say, a moderation of the uncertainties that they have against China. And that is not because of China's diplomatic success. It is just because America is kind of in a diplomatic meltdown at the moment.
Dr. Emmanuel Matambo, Tembisa Fakude, and Peter Fabricius, thanks to all of you for joining us for this chat on our Thursday dialogue. It's 8 minutes before 12.
Get tested this April at Specsavers, and we'll give you a free optical frame up to the value of 1,000 Rand. That's right, get a free frame up to the value of 1,000 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye examination at Specsavers. Book online at specsavers.co.za or visit your nearest store nationwide. Early detection is key. Get tested today. Specsavers, for affordable eye care and a whole lot more. T's and C's apply.
When you're out there hustling, juggling the calls and meetings, making the next buck, doing the next job, growing your business with blood, sweat, and tears, you need tech solutions that will help you get things done. And that's why you should visit mtnbusiness.co.za or go to an MTN store near you, because you'll find the tech solutions you need to level up your business and make your life easier, so you can get back to doing what you do best, the hustle. Today, we make moves. MTN.
Dear Journal, adulting, day 3,700 and whatever. Just bought a bunch of supplements I can't pronounce to try and fix my sleep schedule. What a game changer. So chuffed I spotted them when I was doom scrolling at 11:53 p.m.
Finally learning about mental health. Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's convenient and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
They say every step tells a story. This July, your footsteps won't just leave marks, they will leave a legacy. There's a route that's not just paved with history, but with meaning, memory, and movement. And this year, we don't just walk through history, we walk with it. Keep listening to 702. Something powerful is coming that you'll want to be part of. 702, let's walk the talk.
Your voice.
Your questions.
Your morning radio with Clement Manyathela.
This is 702.
6 minutes now before 12 o'clock. Okay, so there are some songs that we played earlier on when we hosted Siviwe Gwarube that a lot of you loved, but as always, I can't play all the songs up to the end of the song, because we still need to have a conversation with our guests. So I thought, just to get you ready for the long weekend, we're going to play you that song that a lot of you loved, Forever by Kanye West featuring Drake, Eminem, and Lil Wayne. We cut it short. We couldn't even get to Eminem's part. And I thought, let's just remedy that with Abel. So here you go, Forever by Kanye West and all these amazing other artists that I wouldn't have allowed to feature on this track because they did much better than him.
It may not mean nothing to y'all, but understand nothing was done for me, so I don't plan on stopping at all. I want this forever mine, ever mine, ever mine. I'm shutting down in the mall and telling that girl she the one for me, and I ain't even planning the call. I want this forever mine, ever mine, ever mine.
Last name ever, first name greatest. Like a sprained ankle, boy, ain't nothing to play with. Started off local, but thanks to all the haters, I know G4 pilots on a first name basis. In your city, faded off the brown. Nino, she insists she got more class. We know, swimming in the money, come and find me. Nemo, if If I was at the club, you know I balled. Chemo, dropped a mixtape that sounded like an album. Who'd have thought a countrywide tour be the outcome? Labels want my name beside an X like Malcolm. Everybody got a deal, I did it without one. Yeah, I'm about my business. Killing all these rappers, you would swear I had a hit list. Everyone who doubted me is asking for forgiveness. If you ain't been a part of it, at least you got to witness. Cheers. It may not mean nothing to y'all, but understand nothing was done for me. So I don't plan on stopping at all. I want it forever, mine, ever mine.
Ever, Mr. West is in the building. Ain't no question who about to kill him. I used to have hood dreams, big fame, big change. I stuck my dick inside his life until that came and went hard all fall like the ball teams. Just so I could make it rain all spring. Y'all seen my story, my glory. I had raped the game young. You could call it statutory when a nigga blow up. They gon' build statues for me. Old money, Benjamin Button, what nothing. Super bad chicks giving me McLovin'. You would think I ran the world like Michelle's husband. You would think these niggas know me when they really doesn't. Like they was down with the old me. No, you fucking wasn't. You such a fucking loser. He ain't even go to class, Bueller. Trade the Grammy plaques just to have my granny back. Remember she had that bad hip like a fanny pack. Chasing the stardom will turn you to a maniac. All the way in Hollywood and I can't even act. They pull their cameras out and God me snap. I used to want this thing forever, y'all can have it back.
It may not mean nothing to y'all, but understand nothing was done for me. So I don't plan on stopping at all. I want this forever, mine, ever mine, ever mine.
Okay, hello, it's the Martian, Space Jam Jordans. I want this forever, wake up and smell the garden. Fresher than the harvest, step up to the target. If I had one guess, then I guess I'm just New Orleans. And I will never stop, like I'm running from the cops. Hopped up in my car and told my chauffeur to the top. Life is such a fucking roller coaster, then it drops. But what should I scream for? This is my theme park. My mind shine even when my thoughts seem dark.
Specsavers cares about your vision. Glaucoma is known as the silent thief of sight, as most cases don't have any symptoms. Get tested today. Specsavers.
So we did a thing. A full commitment kind of thing. We've partnered with Sixt to bring worldwide to your doorstep. So, you see how that's a serious thing? Because that's what you deserve. We know you're the GOAT. So, premium it is. Premium service, premium vehicles, premium you, premium us. Sani Sixt is all about adding extra to ordinary. Extra reach, extra countries, so you can be extra premium worldwide. Be the greatest of all time and rent Sani Sixt.
Managing your workforce shouldn't be complicated. That's why businesses choose Onacy, a proudly South African cloud-based payroll and HR solution. From payroll and e-recruitment to performance management and self-service tools, we streamline the way businesses handle their people. Scalable, secure, and always online, our system evolves with your needs because your workforce deserves the best. Switch to Onacy and experience payroll and HR done right. Visit onacy.com today.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
You were able to increase your sales in the beauty and the health categories. How have you been competing there? What were you able to do to increase your sales in those categories?
In healthcare, what we did is we focused on understanding the consumer. Those elevations have a phenomenal impact on turnover where we've done that. That's the recipe for retail.
Bettina Engelbrecht, CEO at the Clicks Group.
The Money Show
on 702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show on 702 with Stephen Grootes is proudly brought to you by ABSA CIB. Honored by the 2025 Salter Awards. Your story matters. ABSA is a registered FSP.
Coming up next, the Midday Report with Mendy Wiener. How are you?
Good, thanks, and you.
Good. What's popping today?
So Timothy Omotoso's accusers have been speaking out. They've been holding a press conference. Just so hard to listen to what they've been saying in light of what happened in that case. In the Jocelyn Smith trial, there's a trial within a trial that's reaching its conclusion. Ahead of the Easter weekend, we'll look at the borders, the highways, what is happening in terms of getting through the borders and what the roads are looking like as people are preparing to head out. A taxi boss in the Western Cape was killed last night. At the same time, the MEC in Gauteng is visiting the family of another taxi boss who was killed in Gauteng. And then it's Thursday, so our book of the week is Liberation Diaries, Reflections on 30 Years of Democracy.
Oh, we're not doing sports today?
It's Thursday.
Yeah, it's a Friday/Thursday. I mean, let's celebrate Arsenal, though, at least a little bit. Today.
Arsenal was very good. I thought
they
they really were very good. But can they go on and actually win the Champions League?
That's the question. At least they've made it to the semi-finals. Let's see how they go going forward. Thank you for listening to the show. We'll be back next week. Have a beautiful long weekend, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Mbali Dlamini. A scholar transport driver has been gunned down in Sophiatown in the western suburbs of Joburg after his early morning school drop-off today. No other injuries were reported following that shooting. Police in Gauteng confirmed the shooting incident a short while ago. The motive behind the killing of the 60-year-old is not yet known. Police spokesperson Mavela Masondo says they are searching for an unknown number of suspects who are believed to be involved in this incident.
The police in Gauteng have opened a case of murder and are on a lookout for the suspects after a 60-year-old scholar transport driver was allegedly shot and killed in Sophiatown on Thursday, the 17th of April at approximately 7:15 in the morning.
Let's stay with shooting incidents in the Western Cape now. Taxi Association Santaco has